Administrator, is Commissioner Sacks on the phone?
I believe so. Do we have connection? Okay.
Consent was approved. We are going to start with public hearings, Office of Emergency Management. Is staff here to present?
I mean,
Thank you.
Mayor, may I be recognized?
You may.
May we have a motion for the proof of publication?
I will entertain a motion to approve publication. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 5-0. Well, you don't ever hear me say this, but take your time on the presentation.
Wow. That's
We
an
are
honor.
waiting, and the reason I say that is we're waiting for people to get through security that want to speak on this item. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Administrator Abruzzo. I'm Mary Blakeney, the Director of the Office of Emergency Management. I'm joined by Deputy County Administrator Tom Nadler, Sharon Burrows with the County Attorney's Office, and Deputy Director of Emergency Management, Richard Ellis. So we're here today to provide a summary report of recommendations of the modification of the HCA Secondary Service Provider COPCN request. During Commissioner comments at the March 3rd, 2026 Board of County Commission meeting, the board directed staff to review and bring back information for board consideration to edit or amend the COPCN for HCA hospitals in Palm Beach County.
It was just brought to my attention that HCA sent us a letter of postponement.
Oh, no.
Is that accurate? Would any of the board members like to postpone this item? I need a motion for it, and it doesn't look like anyone. Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Powell. All in favor of postpone? Oh, I guess would we, Go ahead.
Is it okay to entertain commissioner comments at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Postponing it till when?
To the next, I believe the request is till the next public hearing, meeting in June.
June 10th. For postponement? Commissioner Marino?
I'm thinking. I think I'd like to voice an opinion on this, which would help me decide whether I want to postpone or not. The idea of opening this up again does not appeal to me, whether we take the vote on it today or we move it to next month. We can't get an accurate accounting if we keep changing the rules in between. This is going to come up before us. Please give me if we did nothing today, when is the next time we open up the COPCN?
We'll be taking applications for the secondary service providers in the December timeframe, bringing it to this board about this time next year. All the current secondary service providers expire June 30th of 2027.
I don't see why we need to make any changes at this time.
Commissioner Marino?
Yes.
And
Would I like to make
this
a
would also be for
substitute
David Audie. Would we be allowed to postpone it till May of next year?
If it were being postponed, it would be it wouldn't be being postponed. It would be the regular application next year.
I guess my comments would be, I don't think we need to be voting on this to make any changes. I don't think there are extraordinary circumstances that have really been shown to all of us. And we've already opened up the COPCN once. I think we should stay on target this way. We have the accurate details come December when it goes out to bid again.
So it's your wish that we vote
So
on
it
this
is
today?
my wish that we do not postpone today, and it is actually my wish that we turn down the recommendation anyway to add HCA's additional requests. I might be out of order, but that's how I feel.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you. And just to add to what Commissioner Marino was saying, and I did have a meeting on the books yesterday with HCA that got canceled, so I haven't actually been able to talk to them about this. And it was a question that I have for staff, because this is supposed to be extraordinary circumstances.
Yes.
And if
If it's extraordinary, why are they postponing?
I am struggling a bit with that. If it's, and the EMS council voted unanimously against doing this. Staff is recommending, and my question was about extraordinary circumstances. So maybe the question would be for the attorney. I mean, how do we, what deems extraordinary circumstances if it can be postponed for 30 days?
I'll defer to the department attorney.
Good afternoon. It's defined actually in the EMS ordinance that it means substantiated conditions or events that, in the discretion of the board, warrant waiving the normal requirements for extension or modification of COPCN as may be required to safeguard and protect the public's health, safety, and welfare and ensure continuity of EMS. So that's the parameters.
And is staff saying that those conditions have been met?
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to proceed at this
Well,
point.
I just, if those conditions have been met, why are we postponing? And if, I'm sorry, I'm just struggling with how do we reconcile both of those at the same time?
Well, we do currently have a motion and a second to postpone. So let's take that vote first.
Are we going to take cards?
Well, not if we postpone it. So let's vote on the postponement. Correct. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So I tend to agree with Commissioner Marino and Commissioner Woodward. I fail to see where these circumstances are extraordinary that it requires us to look at this. And if we're going to look at this, essentially what you're saying is we need more providers. Because you're saying that there is a gap in service providers. Because we're reconsidering an application. So if we're going to go down that path, the path should be open to everyone, not just a single entity. Because that's essentially what you're telling me, is that there is a gap in providers, and basically we added 5 additional providers, and you're saying that there's still a gap. I don't think this is extraordinary circumstances. When you and I met, I told you that I didn't see that definition the way that you see the definition. I have 2 pages worth of questions, so I'm not gonna go into those if we have a motion on the table, but if for some reason we're gonna hear this item today, I do have plenty of questions about what we're asking to do right now. And I also don't like I am not a fan of going through this process just to get them in 6 months earlier than normal. When they had an opportunity to come in, they didn't get their ambulances certified until 3 months after. So there wasn't extraordinary circumstances then. Today, they're asking for a postponement I don't see the extraordinary circumstances today. So I'm telling you exactly where I stand on this. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not ready to move forward. They should go through the normal process when it opens up again, and I believe the end of this year.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've looked at it, and the idea, I know yesterday, like Commissioner Woodward, I had a meeting on the books with HCA, and it was canceled, I think, due to them putting in the postponement. I don't have a problem looking at it in further detail. I know we're split. The staff has recommended approval. The EMS Council recommended denial. So it was my idea, my thought process is if they want to postpone it to another meeting, we have another opportunity to kind of look at it. And it doesn't mean that the postponement would mean that we all agree to open this back up, but it does give them a chance to, I guess, be here in person to explain to us in more detail why they think this is necessary, and also gives an opportunity to those who have already submitted and were selected to explain in public why not. So I wouldn't be adverse to the postponement.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'll say, I will agree with the postponement, but I would like it noted, if HCA is in the room or listening, I would like a meeting before the next one to have a discussion on this, because I, like some of my fellow commissioners, do have a number of questions on this. So I'm okay with doing a postponement at this point, but it doesn't mean that I like where this is headed. And maybe that can change. I don't really see how it could, but I wouldn't recommend canceling in anticipation of a postponement with a commissioner without at least having a discussion with it, because this is actually, I think, a pretty big deal, and I would recommend before the next meeting that they meet with all 7 of us.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So, and I agree on the postponement. I met with HCA. I had an opportunity to meet with them. I've also met with our staff. I don't know if did you all meet with the rest of the commission and share the data that you shared? You did. I mean, based on the information that I saw, there is a gap in service. Just some folks getting quick service when they need to go to a different facility. So I think it does warrant a discussion. If they're asking to be postponed, and I don't know the exact circumstances as to why, and it might have been in their letter and I missed it.
Commissioner, yeah,
Tom, you're
Commissioner.
recognized.
Sorry, Mayor. There were a lot of questions from commissioners. I recommended to postpone for another meeting so questions could be answered by you guys, because it was just going from a lot of questions from a lot of different people, and I thought to give more time to meet with you guys and get more understanding of what's going on than just to come and present and get a vote. So I think it would have been more beneficiary to meet with the commissioners and do their rounds and give them their case before we just go on and vote on this.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
I wasn't finished.
Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. Well, based on what Mr. Nadler is saying, and as a request from staff, then I certainly think it should be postponed.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I think my discomfort goes back to the fact that HCA, since the beginning, has constantly tried to change this, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. When you say the data was supplied to you for this recommendation, who supplied the data? Was it just HCA, or was it all of the providers, and was it the hospitals?
It's a combination of both of those. It's all the providers that currently have COPCNs, as well as some specific information from HCA that our office worked to collect, as well as we've had several meetings with some of the hospital facilities as well, just to verify some of the information that we collected from HCA was common in other healthcare facilities as well.
I'm still uncomfortable with this, and it still sounds like They didn't get their way the first time, they didn't get their way the second time, this is their way to try to get their way the third time. And I'd really like to know why the EMS Council unanimously voted against it.
Clerk, let's do a roll call vote, please, on the motion on the floor. Which is postponement.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks. Commissioner,
Yes on the postponement.
Commissioner Weiss.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Marino.
No.
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Yes.
Mayor Baxter.
Yes.
We have 6 to
1?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, guys, we will see you in June. My apologies to anyone in the public who came all the way down here to speak on item 5A1. We voted, we postponed it.
She was going to just be on standby if you wanted to.
Administrator, are there people still trying to come in? We're good? Thank you.
Are you ready, Mayor?
Good morning, David.
Good morning. I'm David Ricks, County
Or
Engineer.
afternoon, excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
It's been a
Good
long day.
afternoon. I'm David Ricks, County Engineer, Deputy Engineer, Public Works Department. With me is Cindy from the PZ&B Department, Sheriff from the Budget Office, Chief Administrator, Deputy Administrator Patrick Rutter, Joanne Keller, my deputy, Liz Herman from the County Attorney's Office, and Captain Musgrave from the Sheriff's Office. And we're here to talk about the speed zone detection systems. There was an initial conversation early in April, and I'll turn over to Joanne to kind of continue that conversation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We were here on April 14th where you heard the preliminary reading for the ordinance and it was approved for preliminary reading. We are back today for final adoption of the ordinance. I have the same presentation which I can go through or I can open it for questions.
Would anyone like a presentation? Has anything changed?
Not from last month, no.
Thank you.
Well, that's true. We have options if you want to continue with just the ordinance today or delay the approval on this until the contract comes back.
Yeah, so if you would like to go, is there a slide that has the options?
No, I'll just talk you through the options.
Okay.
Basically, three options. Approve the final hearing of the ordinance today with a delayed implementation date for the ordinance to take effect. That would be effective upon a favorable resolution of the court case that is pending in the 4th DCA of appeal. Option 2 would to be deny the final hearing of the ordinance today. And option 3 is to deny the final hearing of the ordinance today and direct staff to bring it back at a later date upon a favorable resolution of the appeal.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for bringing this back. A couple questions for you, and I know we talked about this. Can you clarify, is there a contract that moves with this, or is this at our discretion?
This item today is just the ordinance, so it establishes the framework for the program, but there is no contract associated with this ordinance today.
Okay, that's what I want to understand. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve this with a delay in the implementation until the case is clear as whatever, wherever it's going to go.
Do I have a second? I have a second. I have a first by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Marino to approve with delay pending the court findings. Commissioner Marino, Commissioner Flores had his light on first. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yes, so some of the same questions that I asked yesterday. So once this ordinance goes into effect, which is essentially what we're doing today, what is the role of the county?
Okay, there's several roles at the county. One of them will be to implement the program. We'll have to work with our partners at PBSO
Is to enforce it.
to enforce it. Yes, we'll have to start with a contract and a resolution next, if this is approved today. We'll bring those items back, and then we'll start implementing the program. The vendor, whoever is chosen, would have to install the cameras, and there's a warning period, and then the program can take effect.
I feel like we are putting an ordinance in place when we don't know who's going to provide the service, how this is going to be executed, and whether the courts are essentially going to allow it. I am all about keeping our kids safe. I want to be on the record, and I'm more questioning how do we get to implementing this than to getting to the ordinance. I think today you're asking us to make a decision on how do we enforce and how do we put an ordinance in place to have a rule in place, but I don't know how we're going to get to enforce it. And that's where I think a lot of my questions lie. I know that PBSO has recommended what is it called?
Red Speed.
Red Speed. But there's other vendors out there. And are we going to go out and do an open process where we get to select what we feel is the best company? And to me, that's important. I know that we're trying to piggyback onto another contract, but essentially we're not going out there and seeing what's available. So to me, that's a little bit of a concern. And if Red Speed is essentially the best, we will come to that determination. But I feel like that is being recommended. I don't know how we're gonna handle that.
Okay.
And the last component of this is who is gonna enforce it? Well, how many positions are gonna be required? From what my understanding is, the county is gonna require one additional staff member. PBSO, if they're the ones leading this, are gonna need 5 or 6 positions. I'm also being told that the first year, the revenues are high because a lot of people aren't used to this, so they're gonna get fined, which absolutely they should. If they're, essentially this is if they're going 11 miles
Right.
over the 20-mile-an-hour speed zones, they're gonna get a ticket.
Right.
So they rightfully so should get ticketed. But what happens the next year when I keep hearing that the behavior gets modified because now they understand they're gonna get a fine? And are we still gonna be able to pay for essentially 5 to 7 positions, whether it's county or PBSO? I would like to see the financials, see how this is gonna work out, and essentially that the program is gonna be self-sustainable. So I have a few questions. I am not ready to move forward with an ordinance until I have all the answers. So I think there's still a lot that hasn't been determined, and I'm not ready to move forward. Thank you.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores, you and I are thinking on the same plane here. How did that happen? That's fabulous. You know what? That's the wonderful thing about our board is we can sit here and we can discuss in open forum, which is what is important to our people. I guess the question is, and I think distilling what Commissioner Flores said is, can we put an ordinance in place without all of the rest of the information? That's the position that we're in right now. Going further with that, I did ask for financials yesterday in the time frame of what were we other cities and municipalities getting in the first year versus year 2, year 3. Apparently, this has not been in place for that long, so we may not be able to get as accurate of a detailed position as we would like. But first, we need to figure out, can we put an ordinance in place even though we don't have a provider? That's a question for our attorney. And secondly, I am in agreement with Commissioner Flores that this should be an RFP. It should be a clear and transparent process. And if whoever wins is because they're, it could be red. I always get it. I want to call them red line, red zone, red speed. Oh my God, red speed, blue line, Yanoptics. There's a bunch of them. And because there are a bunch of providers, I don't think we're doing ourselves any good if we just say we're going to piggyback off of red speed.
Commissioner Marino, would you like to make a substitute motion?
I'm not quite sure how to do that. I'd like the attorney to weigh in on our position of doing the ordinance without what comes next. So if you would clarify, that would be great.
So I think at first, the goal, the goal of the department was to get the contract at the same time. But during the process between the last, when the first reading and now, they have discovered some things that I guess were unknown, including staff involvement and other matters, which I'm sure they can clarify. So that's why they're still in limbo with getting a contract. Frankly, without knowing all the ramifications as to whether or not a contract, that are involved with a contract, it might be prudent to put the vote off until they have the contract and do it simultaneously.
So following up with that, we've got the cart, the horse, we just don't know which one. Because if we do an RFP and make folks go through all the work and then decide we can't do this, now we've wasted a bunch of folks' time. If we move with the spirit of the ordinance, which I think is really what we're trying to do, is the spirit of the ordinance, it isn't going to get implemented until we know legally we can do it, at which time then we could do an RFP. And whether it's September that we start this or anytime during the school year, it would still be something beneficial for our residents to change their behavior, their driving pattern. So I would be okay with doing an ordinance, but not with any sort of provider attached to that ordinance, because as you're talking about piggyback, I mean, the Village of Wellington has another provider. What's to keep us from piggyback off of a municipality? So I would be okay with approving the ordinance today in the spirit and directing staff to let them know that I would like an RFP to follow this. So in that spirit, I will make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
With direction?
Yeah.
Please repeat the original motion.
It is to approve, but with the delay of waiting for the court findings to know if we can even implement this.
I think that's perfect. It doesn't say anything about a provider, and I think that's the position we need to be in today, is we approve the
Is that with
ordinance.
direction not to just piggyback the contract?
Correct.
Okay.
With direction that the next step would be an RFP.
So that would be your substitute motion?
Correct.
And I have a second by Commissioner Weiss that I heard. Okay. We do have cards on this, so we are not going to vote on it yet, but Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
I just agree with what my colleague just said. I felt the same way, but I did want to get this moved down the path so that we were ready to go, and also to give staff direction to implement an RFP, so everything is ready to go when the courts, hopefully when this is adjudicated.
Commissioner Flores, please call cards.
All right, we have two podiums. Please come forward, line up.
I'm going to do 90 seconds because we have so many cards today.
Yeah, so we're going to do, we have Finbar O'Carroll, we have Neil Schiller, we have Alexandria Larson, Ron Klein, and Sharon Waite. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, my name is Finbar O'Carroll. I'm president of Yanoptic, located out here on Beeline Highway. I just want to make the commission aware I applaud the movement forward on the motion with the RFP process to follow. I would love to engage in that RFP process. We've been out there since 2002. We are embedded in the safety community and have over 30,000 cameras deployed worldwide, 5,000 cameras deployed across the US, and we operate the program in Wellington. And again, applaud the ordinance and would love to move forward with the RFP process. I do personally want to keep our kids safe. My son is over at Dreyfus, not a half a mile away from here, and my wife is a elementary school teacher down at Spadey. So I am personally involved in making sure that we keep our kids safe and our teachers safe going to school. That's my time.
Thank you so much. Mr. Schiller, I guess you wanted me to not recognize you today?
I want you to recognize me. I didn't think you recognized me the last time, so I wore these glasses, and thank you for recognizing me. As you know, Neil Schiller, Government Law Group, 137 Northwest 1st Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida, here representing Red Speed. And we're here to really answer any questions. I do want to point out that there is going to be a legislative attempt to fix the issue that the courts had a problem with. Next week, I believe, is the beginning of the budget special session, and that there will be a glitch bill, if you would call it that, introduced to create a legislative fix and not necessarily a judicial fix. And so I would strongly recommend that you wait until the courts decide or there's some legislative fix. And that's what we'd ask for you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Larson.
I hate seeing things over and over again. We kick ourselves over and over again. We'll do something and we shouldn't have done it, and we'll still keep trying to do it. I guess we think everybody will drop dead or forget about it or whatever, because we're allowed to face our accusers. These are cameras. It doesn't work, commissioners. I believe in the law. I really do. I believe in it so firmly you have no idea. My whole life. And I believe you're allowed to face your accuser. A camera is not an accuser. It is not a human being that catches somebody with a ticket for speeding in a school zone. Put a cop at every school instead. Do that. That'll make me happy, because I don't believe that camera is your accuser. Because cameras, anything can make a mistake. It can make a blip. It can be incorrect. The numbers, I've seen the guys that do the speeding, you know, the little gun, and they're beating the hell out of it because it's not working when the guy's going by him at 70 miles an hour. So I please take that into consideration, because I think we have to think about the kids. We got to think about the adults too, though. And they're allowed to face their accusers. So if you're not going to follow the law, I hope they, tell you that. Thank you.
Ron Klein and Sharon Waite.
Mr. Klein, if you could please come to the other podium. Thank you. Good morning.
I'm short,
Or
can't help
afternoon.
that. My concern is that these cameras will make mistakes. How calibrated are they? Who's going to say that they're calibrated the right way? And how legal is that? A machine is always going to screw up. Always. And I have a little personal thing about this. After being awake all night with a brand new baby, 2 miles over the limit, 2 miles, I got run over the glass from some officer that probably had some quota to make. He dragged me through hell. And I don't want that to happen for that little bit, because I was so exhausted I couldn't tell him I've been up all night. So how would you contest something that's not working right? How do you do that? That's my worry.
Thank you. Mr. Klein.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, nice to see everyone. And I'm Ron Klein. I'm in support of and on behalf of Yanoptic Mobility. First of all, I think the way you're approaching it is pitch perfect. I mean, I think you're looking at it, you want to understand the details that go behind it. Even the comments you're hearing right now about is it calibrated correctly? Those are relevant questions. So I think you do need to take it upon yourself to make sure that and when the ordinance is adopted, subject to the legislation being enforceable, you do want to get into all the details. Obviously, the sheriff's office can provide to that, but you have your own judgment as well in terms of the way to do this. There are many competitors. They have different histories and different backgrounds, but would recommend that you adopt the resolution or the motion that you came up with today as amended and go from there with a full RFP. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it, Commissioner Flores, for cards? Attorney Audi.
Just wanted to point out, we keep hearing that there's going to be a legislative fix. That might be even more for reason not to approve the ordinance today if there might be a change to the statute requiring an amendment to the ordinance.
I do not like this. I haven't liked it from the beginning. As a mother of 3, there's nothing more important to me than children. And I feel this is a way to trap us into approving something that shouldn't be approved. I think using this as a guise, give an inch, take a mile motto. Once we allow this in a certain area, it becomes much easier to then push it into more and more and more areas. I'm adamantly opposed to these speed detection systems. I believe it is a money grab, and it is a financial way to bring money. And people who are already hurting to pay for food, they're already hurting to pay everything else. I have never liked this. Now I know that kids and teachers especially are so important to us in the community, but hiding this under that is not the right thing to do. And I don't believe in this even a little bit. And I do agree that I would rather have an officer in every school zone than cameras. You have the right to efface your accuser. You have the right to know. You shouldn't have to prove you're innocent. They should have to prove you're guilty. And they're not taking pictures of people driving these cars. They're just taking pictures of plates. And I understand that there are maybe other instances that plates are used, but I don't like it in this instance. I don't believe I'm in the majority in this thought up here, but that's how I feel about it. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The question I have is a few things running through my head comprehensively with regard to the idea that it's 11 miles over the speed limit. I know I had conversations with regard to making sure that this is only during school hours. One of the comments that I will make is that as I spoke to one of the principals of Red Speed, he did indicate that in other areas where this has been expanded throughout the school day, 50% of the tickets that they write or that they generate did come during those hours after the school zone time. So the question becomes, or the comment becomes in the manner of the Senator, Commissioner Flores, that when it reaches equilibrium and the money's no longer being made, what happens? Do we say, oh, well, you know what, we're not making money, we have too much personnel, we're going to need to extend this, and it will come back to us, to extend this to be during the school day, and it would be 11 miles over the speed limit during that time. As I indicated, most of the schools in Palm Beach County have already been rebuilt. All of the schools are completely enclosed, so during the school day, usually children are not outside, plus there's a fence around the school, so it's very difficult. So the purpose of having this happen during the whole school day, it doesn't make sense. But there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Our attorney indicated that, and it's been said that this will require a legislative fix. I don't know if it will be done during a special session. I know from my understanding, Senator Nick DeSigley has this as one of his priorities, but will it be fixed during special session? From my understanding, special session's only been centered on property tax and redistricting. So what do we do, right? And I don't know, is it too late to postpone this until another date where we have more information, or it's already gone through?
We
or
would need another substitute motion to deny.
Okay.
and bring back.
Can you, Joanne, if possible, can you tell me that option of a motion to deny and bring it back? Again, maybe I'll make a substitute to the substitute. Or,
I think that's option 3, and it was deny on final hearing today and direct staff to bring back for another final hearing of the first meeting after the BCC following a favorable resolution of the appeal
Thank
or
you.
the legislation.
Thank you.
I will remove my motion and go with option 3. This way, legislatively, whatever happens will dictate as opposed to us putting the cart before the horse.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino and a second by Commissioner Flores. Clerk, do you need any clarification on that motion? The motion is to deny and bring back after the legislative body makes a determination on this.
And Mayor, just to clarify, if the board took the action of denial, and I'm looking at David to make sure I say this correctly, we would be back to start it again. So we'd have to come back for permission to advertise. Denial of this would close this one out, so we would have 2 hearings as we would restart the process.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, so the second question then would be, what if we just did a motion to postpone until the legislative fix?
That's available.
But does that do the same as we still have to notice? So please give us our options and what the procedures would be.
Okay, so it depends on the time. If we're talking about an indefinite postponement, then you'll have to restart.
So if we did a postponement of 2 months or 3 months, could we say 6 months? Could we, 6 months puts us into the next school year.
Can we say
But-
until the legislative body makes a decision?
I would
'Cause they
encourage a
might
date
not.
certain.
It depends, just because if we're postponing it until the courts make the decision, and that's next year, then you'd still have to restart.
Well,
if you
then,
wanna
so the
do it,
deny and
say-
bring back kind of says, yeah, it's just
So
a
I'll
reading.
leave my substitute motion as is to deny and bring back.
Okay, Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Actually, I think the questions just got answered, so I'm good.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
So, question. What if there's no legislative fix? This is predicated on a legislative fix.
Or the court ruling.
Sorry?
And the ruling from the court. It's just that it was brought up now that there's going to be a legislative fix which would necessarily change the language.
There's no, so I don't understand this. There's no legislative fix. There's nothing that's been brought forward other than somebody made testimony that they're going to attempt it.
But there's also a court.
I'm asking the attorney,
sorry.
thank you.
So I'm just saying that there have been several comments at the first reading and now that there's anticipated legislative fix.
That would be
So-
wonderful,
so-
but we're predicating our motion on that.
I think the motion is predicated on 2 things that are not yet in effect, that we can't determine when they will happen. So I just wanted to emphasize the point that if there's a legislative fix, it means that the language of the statute will necessarily change. So you would need to amend the ordinance if it did get passed today. So
Here's where I'm at on this. And I heard what our public comments were in regards to folks concerned about a vehicle getting a ticket versus the driver getting a ticket. That vehicle was going 11 miles an hour over the speed limit minimum during school zone light flashing. It's not all day long. It's while kids are walking to and from school. To me, it's unconscionable that we're even having this discussion because we know what happens. We see it every day. And that it's, to me, to have to continue to delay this, we could have everything ready to go and all buttoned up. to be able to protect these kids. And I just think we should be doing everything in our power to make sure that that happens.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
I agree with Commissioner Weiss. I think, you know, the measure that we're looking at right now about implementing, it's about keeping our kids safe, and I completely agree with that. Where my hesitation is we are putting an ordinance, which is essentially a law of the counties, in the books that we cannot implement. So why are we going to jump to that today when there's still a lot of things to be buttoned up, as Commissioner Weiss said? Why don't we button it up so that when it comes back for us or to us, we're able to approve the ordinance and then implement it? Because I think right now there's too many things up in the air that I don't have answers to. And I think we're jumping to implementing a law that we can't enforce. So why put it on the books if we can't enforce it at this time? So that's where I'm at. And the other thing that as I look at and maybe you can pull it up here, the school locations by district, it's disproportionate. I mean, you are heavily enforcing in District 2, District 5, District 6. I know they're not in my district, but how are these schools arrived at?
It's by.
No, I understand that they're unincorporated. I'm just saying it's, you know, it was there, are these all the schools unincorporated?
No.
Exactly. So how do we arrive to that? I don't need an answer today. I'm just saying, if you look at this list, it's disproportionate. So I would like to continue to work with you guys to get to a point that I would feel comfortable moving forward. So that's where I'm at. But I agree. This is about keeping our kids safe. But it has to be to me, it has to be a sustainable program. Because if we're adding a bunch of personnel and then in year 2, year 3, it trickles down, and Commissioner Powell mentioned this, now we're going to implement 24-hour speed enforcement. That's not what I'm signing up for. And I want to be clear about that. So thank you.
Commissioner Baxter?
Yes, Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me also to participate in this meeting. I absolutely agree with my colleagues who have stated their opinion that this is premature. We really cannot vote on something or determine something without knowing all the facts. We don't know if the legislature is even going to take it up. And if they do, how are they going to vote on it? And the most important thing is we don't know the legality of what we're about to vote on. So my opinion on this is to either postpone it. I think to deny it would be premature. I would prefer to postpone it. It might be cleaner to do that. till we get
Commissioner
all the
Sachs,
facts in.
just so you know, the motion on the floor is to deny and bring back after some legislative or court ruling has been made.
I agree with that one.
Thank you. Right,
Thank
so we
you.
have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please, clerk.
Commissioner Marino.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Weiss.
No.
Mayor Baxter.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Yes.
Commissioner Sachs.
Yes.
Please see that carries 6-1.
And Mayor, can I just confirm that the board's direction is to proceed with an RFP to prepare it and get that going, so when we do come back with the ordinance?
No, we were denying today.
I understand, but do you still want us to proceed with it? Because we do have our points where we would bring back an ordinance, whether legislative changes are made.
We are waiting to,
Understand, but to
No,
do
we
the
will-
RFP, to prepare it and have it ready to go, because otherwise we'll be out of sequence.
I don't want to waste staff's time working on something if we
Fine.
don't know we will get there.
Understand?
Okay, Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
I think I just want to be clear that if the courts don't rule in favor of these speed zone infraction cameras, and the legislature doesn't take it up, because this may not come up in, session is over. One of the sessions is over, the first part of session, and the second part is over, and I think they've got like 2 or 3 more planned sessions. Is different since I left. They do a lot of special sessions, but I don't think this is on the agenda. So if they don't take this up until next year, and the court doesn't rule in favor, then we take no action. Am I correct?
Right.
Perfect. I just wanted to be clear. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, thank you.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve 5C1.
I have a motion to approve 5C1. I have a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Are there any cards? Sorry. 5C1, we need to take cards first.
We have Alexander Larson, Sharon Waite, Alexander Larson, Pia Scoran.
We only get 1 card per item per person.
No, I screwed up. You know what I mean. I was filling out cards because they
Okay.
were not letting us in this morning.
Please state your name for the record
Alex Larson.
and proceed.
Should I change it?
Please don't.
I was thinking about it. Anyway, I think the frivolous part's what bothers me. We already got malicious and vicious. And then they can get their court costs, because that's kind of the rules on many, many, many items throughout our world, throughout the United States, throughout Florida. Vicious and malicious. They can get costs. But frivolous, what is everybody's idea of frivolous? Because I know I have my ideas of frivolous. I know people generally are laughing around me when they sit near me. That's frivolous. You know? So I want you to take that into consideration. I don't think you should vote on this. I don't take the word out. You know? We're just adding more trouble. We're just trying to, what I'm tired of is scaring the public, that they don't want to question things because they'll get in trouble. Because the first time I walked through the doors of this room, they said, oh, you'll get hit with a slap suit. You know? No, you don't. But it was a scare tactic. I don't like scare tactics. I don't like saying that I will not say something is for something unless it is. But frivolous is, you know, I was reading it I'm reading this at 4 o'clock in the morning. My cat didn't like this. He was meowing about it. You know, he thought it was stupid too, because he's frivolous also. So take that into consideration, commissioners. Stop scaring the public. We're getting tired of it. I'm telling you, I am man about town, commissioners. I can guarantee you, I can say that under oath. I get stopped everywhere I go. I'm the 8th commissioner.
Please go ahead, Sharon.
Hi. Sharon Waite. I was noticing that the wording on this issue was so general. Anyone, anywhere could decide what's frivolous and what isn't. I would much rather go by what the rule of law is and stick to that.
Thank you. Any other comment cards? Hi.
Hi.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Hi, Commissioners. I'm Pia Scorin. I live in the Acreage. I'm speaking for myself as a resident of Palm Beach County. I am concerned about the proposed changes to the Ethics Council. The ethics issues that I'm aware of that were reviewed by the council and were valid resulted in nothing more than some type of slap on the wrist. Few cases ever get that far because people fear being in the public eye. Making it harder for the council and residents to have ethics issues reviewed is not the way. Commissioners, please encourage ethics in our community, and the suggested changes do not do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Adi, would you please clarify for the viewers what this ordinance is doing? Is it bringing us in alignment with state statute?
Correct. The statutes amended last year, and these changes are just to have the
so that our ordinance doesn't conflict with theirs?
Consistent, to make them consistent with the state statute.
Thank you. Clerk, we have a motion and a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that motion carries 7-0. Moving on to airports. Does anyone need a presentation for
Make a motion
6A?
to approve 6A1, A and B.
Have a couple
I have a
questions.
motion.
I don't know if I need a presentation, but I do have questions.
Okay. I have a motion and a second, and Commissioner Powell, you're recognized. The second is by Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you. Good morning. Or, well, good afternoon. My question is, this, in the backup, it says this will save the county $152,000, I believe, by using Arconis as the sole source provider for hold room furniture?
So it's taking advantage of a sales tax exemption. The original purchase was included in the CM contract as part of the scope of work. We pulled it out of the CM contract. By doing a direct purchase, we save sales taxes.
Perfect. Was Arconis the only viable option? Was this?
It's because it's the specific series that we already have throughout the terminal to ensure that the furniture matches.
Okay. And they're the only specific ones who have already done the furniture throughout the terminal.
It's the specific manufacturer of this furniture. It's the Flyaway series.
Okay. How did we come up with the cost of 1.57 million being validated as fair? Was this evaluated against previous furniture, or it's just the price they gave us?
So it's based on the amount of furniture that we actually needed for the concourse expansion, based on the specific series that we were asking to procure from the manufacturer. So it's their standard pricing.
Okay. That's all I have. And the reason I wanted to ask those questions is if we're saving money, I want to know how we knew we were saving money based on the fact of it doesn't look like there was competition in terms of making the selection. And if this is something that we just generally normally do because they've already been the provider for the rest of the airport, just wanted to clarify, needed to know that.
Okay, thank you.
Are we the only ones involved in this purchase in terms of
Yes.
purchase? So that would be the airport or Palm Beach County's?
The county's purchasing the furniture for the concourse B expansion area. It's the same furniture that's on the existing concourse today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. 6B1, anyone need a presentation? No? I will do we have any cards on 6B1? I will entertain a motion to approve item 6B1, A, B, C, and D. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. Moving on to 6B2. I will entertain a motion to approve 6B2, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Do we have any cards? No cards? Oh, excuse me, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, and I'm not kidding. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that that motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item, that was 6B2. We will move on to item 6B3. I will entertain a motion to approve 6B3, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. Moving on to 6C1. Permission to advertise. I will entertain a motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. 6D1, Housing and Economic Development. Does anyone need a presentation? Good. I will entertain a motion to approve 6D1, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. I have a motion by Commissioner Flores,
I'll second, but I have a comment.
a second by Commissioner Marino, and please proceed with your comment.
Item F said approve termination of funding awarded in the total amount to Madison Terrace, and I asked staff if any money had in fact been paid out for this initiative, and staff's response was no. So we did not lose any money on that original grant. I just wanted to share that.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. 6E1, do we have any cards? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve, motion to adopt item 6E1. I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. 6F1, I will entertain a motion to approve 6F1, A and B?
Madam Mayor.
Or is this the revised, just A?
Quick question. Am I missing? 6E1 is community services, right?
Yes, that's the one we just approved.
And 6E, okay. Which one is the intergovernmental affairs? Is that?
That's this one, 6F1.
Okay, it's labeled on my agenda as 6E1 too. Okay, it's 6F1. Thank you.
It was a correction.
Sorry, I missed it on the add delete.
Yes.
Okay,
It was it was revised.
thank you. I need a presentation on this.
You do want a presentation?
Absolutely.
Staff?
And I have a couple questions.
Do you want to talk now or after the presentation?
Thank you. Anyone else?
Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Our proposed ordinance, currently the lobbyist registration ordinance charges a one-time $25 fee per lobbyist per principal. Our proposed ordinance would modify that to a annual $100 lobbyist registration fee per lobbyist per principal, and that would go into effect October 1st, 2026, and each lobbyist would update that every October 1st with our annual budget. And the purpose of that is to clean our lobbyist registration system so we have an accurate and clean database.
Commissioner Powell, did you have any
I do.
questions?
Yes. When you say principal, I used to work for a planning firm, or planning and zoning firm, or land development. And I was not a principal by definition of the firm. If the principals are lobbyists, would I also, and if I'm coming to attend a meeting with the principal, am I also required to register through this lobbyist registration and pay the $100?
So principal refers to client. So if I'm lobbying on behalf of a developer, so each developer that I represent would be the principal in that example.
Perfect. So let me ask you this question. So everybody on that team would be required to register. Now, let's say I have several projects. I'm working on 10 different projects in the county, and I'm registered as a lobbyist already, but am I required now, I would be required to register for every project as a lobbyist, or does my one registration cover each of my clients? Because I'm at a firm, and I've got a number of, maybe 50 clients, maybe 25. Am I required to pay $100 for each client that I represent? And do I charge, I guess that's a little bit deeper, but how does that work?
So it would be $100 per client. If the projects are for the same client, you wouldn't have to pay $100 for each project, just $100 for each client.
Okay. So, to be clear, I've got client, I'll say gas stations. I've got gas station A, and I also represent gas station B and big box store C. I'm registered as a lobbyist, and I'm lobbying for, or I'm representing, because they'll come before the BCC zoning, I'm representing all those entities. My boss, who I work for, also represents them because it's on our whole team. My boss is registered as a lobbyist. I'm working on the project, and I'll probably come to a meeting, maybe not all the meetings. Am I and my boss required to register for all three? And that's $300 because we're three different entities. That's correct?
Correct.
Is that how it works with, you talked about other municipalities, is that how they have done it as well?
Thank you for the question, sir. That is correct. There's not an exact place to find how every single municipality does it throughout the U.S. or Florida for that matter, but in the state of Florida, that's how it's done, and we figured we would mimic that as best practice.
And just to follow up on that, for comparison, in Miami-Dade County, they charge around $500 per lobbyist to register for the county. And in addition to that, at the municipality level, they charge another $500 to register and $100 for each client that they represent. So our system is $100 annually per lobbyist, per client, and that applies to both the county and all of our municipalities as well.
Okay. You said per the state of Florida, this is done like the state of Florida lobbyist registration?
Yes, sir. So I have to register as a lobbyist for Palm Beach County, as does Alessandro. So because we represent Palm Beach County, we both have to do that at the same time for the state to register, and that's for the legislative and the executive.
Okay, but you only represent the county, so you're only registering at one time. The county is the client, but different entities, lobbyists up there, if they represent different clients, they register, they pay the $100 each time, each client?
Correct.
Thank you. Additional follow-up, what about those municipalities that use the county to piggyback off of for their lobbyist registration? Does that mean those municipalities will also be paying the $100 each, and does that clear them for the county, or that's just that municipality?
That would be up to the municipality. They use our system as a reference to who has registered, but there is not anything specific when it comes to each municipality itself unless they've opted in.
And following up on that, when a lobbyist registers in our system, they can select by clicking arrows on which municipalities they also want to register to lobby for. So they have the option when they sign up to register for more than just a county, but multiple municipalities.
And they charge them that one fee?
Correct.
Okay.
Only through us.
I think my final question would be, prior to this coming to us, I know you had meetings with all of us as commissioners. Was there any industry input from some of these entities who will be impacted?
We have discussed it with a handful of our lobbyists, and everybody seemed pretty reasonable with what we were asking because it does mimic the state, and it was so much less than other municipalities like Miami and portions of Broward.
Thank you. Have you discussed it with any of the firms that come before us for BCC hearing, some of the more popular ones that we see frequently?
No, that hasn't been discussed with them.
But this was drafted to include the idea that they should know and they'll be included in this particular registration, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you. No further questions.
Commissioner Marino?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So on your sheet here, in your cheat sheet that shows the different fees, can you again explain under fee for, say, Miami-Dade, there's a $525 fee and a $105 fee. So $525 would go to the county, and $125 would be for, or excuse me, $105 would be for a city. So they're doing, what are the two fees?
Correction. So on the fourth column, there's Miami-Dade County. They charge $490 annually per lobbyist per client, per lobbyist.
Right?
And then if
but
you
then
scroll,
when you go down to Miami-Dade, Miami, there's a 525
Correct.
and 105.
that is for the municipality, not the county.
So
And
why are there two fees though at the municipality level?
the first fee is to register the lobbyist. The second fee is for each client they represent.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. How often is this list going to be cleaned?
This would be yearly.
And, have you determined, I assume these expire at the end of the year, so,
As of right now, nothing expires. You pay a $25 fee once, and you're on the list in perpetuity.
yeah, I realize that because I look up people that are deceased and they're still on that list, and I
Correct.
don't understand how they can still be a lobbyist if they don't exist on this planet.
And permission to speak, Mayor?
You're recognized.
This was the whole idea of it, to clean up the list, and we had a amount of people on there that are just deceased and no longer in business.
Yeah, you've got people on there that have not done business, nor will they do business, and yet there's a potential, it potentially creates conflicts and things like that.
Shouldn't be on there, and that's the way to clean it up.
So I guess I'm getting back to my question on, is it annual based on our calendar year, or is it annual based on when they register?
It'll be based on our calendar year. So it'll be a one-time fee, whether they do it in September to October, or they do it from October all the way through October. It's a one-time fee that we'll start over, so that way we don't have to track people throughout the year and chase them down with the dates that they started. So it'll be similar to what goes on in the state of Florida. We have to register, and like when I first got hired here, I got to register in November, and then I had to turn around and re-register at the end of the calendar year, which started in January. So that first section was only for that 2-month period.
So, and I assume this funding, there's enough, you guys, when you put your budget together, there's enough to provide the support, or either you're going to be buying some software to deal with this, or you're going to be paying somebody to develop it?
We actually already have the system for it. This will just ultimately allow us to clean it out.
So the system supports being able to, automatically send out reminder emails like 90 days in advance to remind people and that sort of thing?
Yes, sir, as well as financials and things of that nature.
The things that they have to upload, declare, I guess, yeah. All right. And then I also noticed in here, there's a CPI. Did you guys take that out?
We removed that from the proposed ordinance.
So anytime then, because this hasn't been touched in, 10, 15 years?
Since 2009.
Okay. So that means then you would have to bring it back, and by the time you bring it back, is there a reason why you got rid of the CPI?
We got direction from administration to remove the Consumer Price Index.
Okay. And this covers the cost of the administration of this program? Have you budgeted that out based on the current numbers?
We currently collect around 9,000. This would projected revenue of 36,000 for the next fiscal year.
And that 36,000 will cover the cost of administering this program?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So I'm a big fan of cleaning up this ordinance. I'm glad that every year that they're going to have to renew. What I'm struggling with is the price that you guys came at. And when I had the conversation with you guys, I thought it was extremely low. I still believe it's extremely low. When you have counties like Miami-Dade where they're charging $500 or whatever it is, I'm not saying that we need to go to that extreme. I'm saying that we should really consider going up to like $200, $250, somewhere in that ballpark. I know that we're making a significant leap from 25 to 100. However, you're not even including CPI here. So I don't know when will be the next time that we'll come back and clean this up again. I would be a big fan of adding CPI at the very least. And by the way, these individuals consume most of our times. I know that 36,000 does not pay nearly for the amount of times that they take up on my day and my staff day, and all of the requests and all the meeting requests that they put forth. So it could offset some of that too. I know it's not gonna, $200 is not gonna make a dent, but I think that's the cost of doing business. I don't need an answer, sir. I'm just saying that's where I stand right now. I would be happy if we went a little higher and we included CPI. Thank you.
Mayor.
You're recognized.
We'll be more than happy to add CPI and take direction from the board on the fee. I mean, it's easy to change, so if you guys want to make a motion to approve with a change of CPI and a cost increase.
Let's get through commissioner comments. Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question, and I agree with the CPI part, or at minimum, us put something in here with the timeline to revisit and compare ourselves to peer counties. I mean, it would be a big jump for us to get to Miami-Dade numbers, but I think it would be pertinent for future boards to have a regular timeline of comparing ourselves with our neighbors and where do we stand. So if there's a way to do CPI, but also have a regular check-in with this for it to come to this board, so that we know where we stand with the rest and where we should be. So if that could be added to direction of this. Okay.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'm the opposite. I think that $100 is fine. You're jumping from 25 to 100 and doing it annually as opposed to once in a lifetime. I think it's pretty significant. Plus, I think this first year gives entities an opportunity to see how this works, especially the ones who will now be used to or now figure they have to pay a $100 fee for each project that they're working on. So I think just getting an opportunity to look at this for a year, just a chance to see how it works. And I mean, and not to negate, but we meet with a lot of people, and I love meeting with people. That's what I do. I mean, I love those meetings. I'm looking for more meetings all the time. So I don't, but I think the $100 is fine, in my opinion, and taking a year to just look at it, see how it works. If you, and we're sitting as this board, we'll come back, and I don't think it's a hard ask if we look at it and say, well, we need to increase the fee. But we're not Miami-Dade, we're not Orlando, we're not some of these other entities. So let's see, in my opinion, and I'm just one member of the board, let's see how the $100 works first, doing it on an annual basis. And the 8th commissioner said something, but
she has a card in. She'll be speaking.
We'll see how that works now, and I like it the way it is. I mean, and I see the ad delete went from 200 to 100, so I don't have a problem.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I am comfortable with the 100 per year. I do think that Vice Mayor Woodward made an excellent point about revisiting this, and I think if we give it a time frame of like 5 years to revisit this, we would be doing ourselves a justice by doing that. So I would be in favor of the $100, the motion as it is, but including CPI. And I'm happy to make that motion if it hasn't been made yet, because I quite frankly haven't. We've been talking around the CPI, so I'll make the motion that we approve the ordinance and amend it to include CPI and revisit it in 5 years.
How much of a CPI?
The CPI.
You want it just to go up that amount every year?
Yeah.
Okay. I have Administrator Abruzzo, did you want to say something? Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Marino. Do I have a second? I have a second by Commissioner Flores. Do you need clarification on the motion? Clerk. So we are going to approve this ordinance today, but we are going to add CPI so that it will go up. And we have 2 cards before we vote on this.
Also with the time frame of revisiting in 5 years.
And the time frame of revisiting in 5 years. Okay? And we have the 8th commissioner to speak, Ms. Larson.
Alexander Larson
and then Linda Smith.
I didn't make that up. Your constituents did. How about that?
Mayor, if
I didn't do that. But anyway, I'm curious. The gentleman sat here and said we collect about $9,000 and it should have been $36,000. So we've been missing some money for the last several years. I mean, it's going back and forth, and I do try to follow you guys. And it was supposed to go up to $200, not $100. That was in the backup. So where did the $200 go? It just disappeared today? Gone? I'm just curious, commissioners, where did it go? Because it still says, when you read the backup, it still says the $200 per principal. I mean, please help the constituents follow this rule, this rabbit hole, because they said cleaning it up, as they're cleaning it up, they went from, they're collecting 9,000, but they should have collected 36,000. The new stuff will collect 36,000. I'd rather collect more money from the lobbyists. They got plenty. Your constituents have nothing. You want me to bring them down here? You want to have another one like we had last month? I really do. I really want to see that every time we have matters by the public. Because the people out there are really hurting, and the lobbyists in this county are not. And you could go up to 1,000 because I think we have a lot more class than Dade County.
Please proceed, Ms. Smith.
Okay, I'm going to be real short. Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida, representing myself. I do not understand during this time of inflation and rising prices that the price of buying influence is so low. Please give the public a chance. The playing field is not level. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, Dave
You may.
Behar, County Attorney's Office. I just wanted to be clear. Today, we're not adopting the ordinance. We're just giving permission to advertise, and we'll bring it back.
Of the ordinance to
Right.
bring back.
Right, and just so I'm clear, we're going to include CPI, the 5-year.
Must come back within 5 years.
So my question there is, do you want that in the ordinance, or should that be like a PPM or something the county administratively brings back? I would recommend the latter.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
I would like it in the ordinance
In the
because
ordinance.
oftentimes, even though we make a requirement of 5 years, it somehow gets lost. So it needs to be included in the ordinance.
We can do that.
Do we want to set a price for 5 years from now?
We don't want to dictate future boards' decisions. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
If we're going to include the 5-year language or earlier,
Or earlier.
it could be
correct.
revisited earlier if the board so wishes. I just
So
don't
no-
I don't want it to be in 5 years only.
No later
Or
than 5
sooner.
years.
Correct, no later
Right?
than.
As long as, if it's brought up by the board that they can, not just 5 years.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I apologize, I had to step out for a minute, but did we say why it went from 200 to 100 while I was away?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
No, but it was noted by Commissioner Flores that he liked 200.
But did we have an answer? I stepped out for a few minutes. Did we have an answer as to why it was reduced from 200 to 100 in the add delete?
We just didn't want to jump too high after having discussions from the 25. We went to 200, and we figured, but again, we'll take direction from the board.
Because it was 200 until, like, we
The add
got the,
delete, yeah.
okay. And
We just had discussions, and it was already printed at 200.
Do you want to make a
I'll
substitute?
take responsibility.
I was.
Do you want to make
well-
a substitute motion?
I can make a substitute. I was fine with the 200 when it was there, so. Okay.
Okay, so I have a substitute motion by Vice Mayor Woodward, and I have a second by.
Including all of the previous amendments.
Including all the previous amendments, but we're starting at 200 instead of 100, and seconded by Commissioner Flores. All in favor? Any opposed?
Me.
Please. 6-1 with Commissioner Powell being the one.
And let me ask you this question. When I met with y'all in my office, wasn't it 100? No, it was 200 when y'all met in my office? Okay.
So see that it passes 6-1. Thank you so much. Next item, we will go to 6G1. Thank you, staff. Does anyone need a presentation on 6G1? I will entertain a motion to approve 6G1. I have a motion by Vice Mayor Woodward, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 6-5-2. 3-5-3. Excuse me, my math, 4-3. Okay?
Is Sachs on the?
Yes.
I'm on.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's do a roll
Doing
call
great.
vote, clerk, on this item.
Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Marino.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Sacks.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Yes.
Mayor Baxter.
Yes. See that it passes 4-3.
Thank you.
Next item. 6H1, A and B. Does anyone need a presentation? Okay, do we have any cards? We do have, our 8th Commissioner would like to speak on this item. Would you please come forward, Ms. Larson? Okay, she is not here. I will entertain a motion to approve item 6H1, A and B. I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0. On 6J1? We just did I. Oh, excuse me, 6I1. Does anyone need a presentation? Yeah, brief one. Do we have a card? Let's take the card first. Okay. Staff, brief, please.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board of Commissioners.
Excuse me, Commissioner Weiss, did you want to say something? Okay, when you're finished,
Okay.
please proceed.
And County Administrator, before you is the recommend consideration, the safety action plan. With me is, I'm David Ricks, County Engineer. With me, Chief Deputy Patrick Rutter, Joanne Keller, Deputy County Engineer. Also with me, the consultants helped put this plan together. Jessica Johnson from Killis and Associates, of the year, and Brad Davis from Kimberly Horn who helped did the data analysis. Melissa Akert, the Assistant Traffic Division Director, and Liz Herman from the County Attorney's Office. I'll go through this very quickly. And so this is part of the requirement for getting federal grants for Safe Streets for All is to do a safety action plan. The board allowed us to get a grant to do the actual plan. And what the plan, looking at the analysis, looking at the crash data, 5 corridors were considered high energy network. The whole idea is that this commits us to a strategy to reduce 50% by 2035, goal 0 by 2045. The report itself is 70 pages, and with all the attachments, about 300 pages. We actually have a hard copy of the report we'll hand out to you at the end of this presentation. And so the key thing is looking at county roads and state-maintained roads. And one of the things in terms of data analytics, they use INRIX, and INRIX is just recently won an award for 2026 for AI for excellence in analytics. They also, the same company that LA Metro we saw when we were out with County Administration and Commissioner Weiss on that. Next, in terms of, we did several community engagements this past fall, looking at some task force meetings, and also looking at some key municipalities and also key stakeholders on that. And so you can see who was part of the task force, with looking at the district, sheriff office, especially MPO, Department of Transportation. So we had multiple, input meetings. And some of the things that we've got were safe crossings, intersections, high speed, aggressive driving, gaps in sidewalks, school zone, rail safety, and micromobility were key areas that are part of the conversation. And so, we looked at crash data 2019-23, and there was 712 fatal crashes and 480 serious crashes. And so, and that's a key aspect. And so part of this is they developed a high energy network in terms of what we should be looking at for focusing on major investments. So that's a key aspect from the analytics. And so the plan comes up with 5 areas. still looking at all county roads, but these were the highest concentration in terms of 20% of all the crashes. 6th Avenue, Melaleuca Lane, 4.8 miles. Linden Boulevard, 5.2 miles. South Military Trail, 7.1 miles. 10th Avenue North, 4.7. South Jock Road, 5.7. And so we also surveyed the DOT roads because they're all interconnected with ours, and we provided information to the DOT. This is some of, looking at a big picture standpoint, some short-term things, some long-term things. And so we're going to be looking at submitting a grant application for the board of consideration at the end of this month because the call for projects is 26 May. And so we'll be submitting something off that short-term list for the 19th May for the board to consider. And so overall, the key thing is to adopting the plan. We have a website to actually be publishing the plan, and talks about leadership commitment, talks about Vision Zero, so this is real critical. And this complements the Metropolitan Planning Organization Vision Zero plan. So our next step is try to get the grant application, and we'll send that to the board consideration on 19 May. And then we'll look at operational analysis, some of those key corridors, and then, of course, adopt the plan. And just real quick, just look other things we're doing with our traffic initiatives. One of the things that the board is interested in trying to get more word out to the community in terms of we have, lane closures. And one of the things that we found out during our research is that Cause One Network is a system that DOT is doing for all their projects starting a couple years ago, and actually the Turnpike will start using it. And what it is that all their contractors, when they have a lane closure, they'll upload the app and automatically update all the Google app and Waze applications. And so we definitely will be looking to implement that. We're going to have a conversation with, Osceola County. They just started about a year ago. And then also we were looking at Alert PBC. We've done a conversation with Mary Blakeney, and we'll be launching that here pretty soon as another way to notify the community. Another one is looking at adaptive control system, Commissioner Weiss' leadership on that. The work has just started. We're looking at 20 signals on that. So we're looking to get that work started to help the signal timing along that very busy corridor. Then next one is our vehicle preemption system for our fire trucks. What it does is that once they leave the station along that corridor, all the lights turn green. As you can see that we've done 78 vehicles on the way. You got another 78. We're looking at, the fire looking to get all the operational vehicles on that system, hopefully by end of year. And then the intersections, we're looking to get almost 1,000 of our 1,400 connected with that system. And then another slimmer system is with the Palm-Tran. Is called Transit Signal Priority. What it is, you put it on the bus, and as it gets to that intersection, it gives an extra 5 seconds of timing. And so we've got, like you said, look on the slide, 125 buses, several intersections. It's on the US 1 corridor, and we got future phases through the MPO assistance for implementation. And so last is recommendation to approve a resolution approving the Palm Beach County Safety Action Plan.
Thank you, David.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say thank you so much. Traffic congestion is a huge problem in my district, and it has been a top priority of mine to help come to some solutions. So this is absolutely very helpful, and thank you for this. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. A question for you, and this is specific as it relates, there's a crosswalk on Dixie for the Norton Museum of Art.
Okay.
Who controls that timing? Is that it's a state road? It's just a crosswalk. It's a crosswalk on demand.
We control all the signals within our jurisdiction, and so we'll coordinate with DOT if it's their road, and so we'll take a look at that.
Okay, I'll talk to you offline about what the issue is with it, okay? And then one of the things, and we talked about during briefing, has flashing yellows and looking at the let me clarify, the flashing yellow left turns.
Yes, sir.
And I know I had asked for some data, we have implemented it in
Okeechobee, yes, sir.
And I'd like to ensure that we get that report is to see the crash data before and after the implementation, and maybe looking at some other maybe another, there's nothing similar to this corridor but maybe another corridor where it seems to be working okay, and maybe that would help
Yes, sir. Well,
determine.
actually, it's under review, and I'll have it to you by tomorrow.
Oh, okay, great. Very good. That's what I got.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So, Mr. Ricks, by the way, great presentation. Thank you for doing this, keeping our residents safe. So once we adopt this safety plan, then the idea is that you can pursue grant dollars?
Yes, sir. So the actual call for grants started about a month ago. It's only a 60-day window, so we knew we had this plan was in process, and so we had the foresight to say, okay, let's fast track looking at a grant application, looking at some of the short-term looks. And so we'll be submitting a grant application, about $3 or $4 million on the 19th May workshop to kind of get that started. And some of the long-term looks require some engineering, and so by a year from now, we'll have some other project we'll be submitting for grant applications.
Thank you. Thank you for having the foresight to do that. I'll make the motion to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. And just to reiterate what we talked about at agenda review, this is information that is being supplied to WSP that will be included in the countywide
yes, ma'am. That's correct. That is correct.
Countywide Transportation Master Plan, correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you on the I think it was slide 7, where you have the map showing the highest priority corridors. It's based on traffic fatalities and serious injuries. Looks like Commissioner Flores and
Right.
myself and Sachs have those. I just wanted to say thank you for looking at this and prioritizing, and I know the intersections, and a lot of these are quite a problem for Joanne, wherever she is. She usually gets a call from me when I'm sitting at one of these intersections where all the traffic is blocked, and it's very dangerous. People get aggressive through there. So Thank you for looking at this. Hopefully signalization becomes a big part of it, because, you know, especially when the train is coming through, there's a number of pinch points, and everyone's trying to get where they're wanting to go, and when the intersections get blocked, it's chaos. So thank you for looking at this. I look forward to the improvements that are coming.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a motion and a second. And cards? No cards. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0.
We'll hand you a copy of that.
Moving on to item 6J1. We will not be accepting any more cards.
It's already bound. It's laminated.
Well, when things make sense. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Item before you is a naming rights license agreement that staff recommends approval of, and let me run through a few of the particulars that relate to it and how we got it to where we are today. Go back to legislation that was approved in the winter and the governor signed on March 30th. That amended Section 332 of Florida statutes, which preempted to the legislature naming of major commercial airports, including PBI, Palm Beach International, and in turn renamed Palm Beach International President Donald J. Trump International Airport with an effective date of July 1st. It also required, which really brings us to why we're here, required the county to diligently pursue the required approvals agreements to implement the name change, including obtaining the FAA approval and owner of the trademark authorizing commercial use and timely commencement of signage and the work that goes along with it. I would point out that as I referenced that statutory provision, it also includes in there the suspension of Florida DOT funding until the commercial service airport demonstrates compliance with this action. Again, the action you're taking today that's before you is to implement legislation that has been adopted. This is the piece. Can't say it enough. This is not the naming of the airport piece that has been done. The legislature took that ability and has performed that action. This is us implementing, what we're presenting to you is implementing provisions in statute. So we go to, and I just did it to myself, didn't I? Thank you. Oh, that helps too. So I do have copies of it before you. If you'll follow along with me, I'm on page 3 now. Licensing agreement, the purpose and terms and conditions. Again, the name change is mandated by state law. That's done. What's before you is the license agreement. And the failure to comply can result in action against the county.
Ask them to go to the next, please go to the next slide.
You
It
got
won't
the other
go,
one? Yeah, we just got the 2.
we have it.
You've got the copies there. I got the wrong one down here.
Oh, there's only 2.
Yep.
Okay,
There's more
so-
than 2 slides. We'll keep going. You've got the copies in front of you. We're working off the same one. So the second bullet, I'm on page 3 again. The mandated name that the legislature mandated is owned by DTTM Operations LLC, and President Donald J. Trump is the owner of that name, image, and likeness. And that can't be used without the approval of the owners. The license agreement is needed to protect the county's interest, not just to implement it, but to protect our interests as well. And that's been the result of the hard work that County Attorney's Office, Laura, led by the County Administrator, have done to get it to this point and bring something that does absolutely protect the county's interest while implementing the statute. So we have the license agreement to ensure our compliance with state law mandating the name change, protecting our state funding resource, protecting the county from legal claims for unauthorized use, any claims on trademark infringement, violations, rights, things of that sort, it's addressed in the agreement. It also authorizes airport users, such as the airlines or some of our concessionaires and other service providers, to use that name as well. When you track down what the name change did and how many touches there are along the way, it is a very, very significant endeavor. This licensing agreement is necessary to bring all that into conformance. Flipping to page 4 now on the agreement, going a little bit more into the purpose and terms. It guarantees the no-cost use to the county of the airport name for the reasonable customary purposes, typical stuff you'd see, signage, wayfinding, maps, things of that sort, and marketing. Provides predictability on the naming, logo. We'll have a pre-approved stylized mark. There was a lot of discussion and work that went into that, so we have that consistency. It prohibits the licensor or any of the affiliates from receiving any royalties or any monies, revenue, from the purchase sale of any products or merchandise bearing the name. What it does not do, what it does allow, I'll say it the other way around, promotional items that we give away, which is the primary purpose of the fun things that you see, whether it's luggage tags, pens, shirts, things of that sort. There's no cost to us. We're not subject to that requirement on paying fees. It prevents the termination unless required by law, and then it sets forth a defined process for any dispute resolutions, again, protecting the county's interests. So I'm moving to page 5 now.
Pat, I think we get the point. It's going to protect us.
I'm going to try and emphasize that 3 more times, too. When you move to page 5, want to point out airport system is an enterprise fund, as we're doing this to protect our grant funding and other pieces. That's extremely important. Our legal exposure, credit impacts, things of that sort, which takes me to page 6, my last page. Just to summarize it. The vote today, what's before you, is the licensing agreement. Nothing to do with the airport naming. This is a piece implementing that legislation. Your decision before you is the license agreement, and this is here to safeguard the county's interest by defining all of our rules. So we're all here for any questions you may have.
We are going to start calling cards on this item, speaking items. We have over 20, and then trying to get through them. Is it the will of the board? Oh, yeah, 1 minute, because
I won't even take 1 minute. Pat, it was important what you just said. This is an enterprise fund. There are no taxpayer ad valorem dollars going towards this, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call names up to the podiums.
All right, we have 2 podiums. Please line up behind either one. We have Michael, I believe, Cleveland, Alexander Larson, Roby Little, Linda Smith,
Robbie Little.
Robbie Little, sorry. Linda Smith. Okay.
Where's the
Please
gentleman? There was a gentleman you named before me.
Please proceed. Ms. Larson?
Okay, I don't agree with this at all. I just think it's, we just willy-nilly, all kinds of stuff in our county lately, and this is one of them, I mean, PBI seems to be just fine. When I was reading the backup on this, they had all kinds of color choices for the stuff and, the pictures of everything. And I mean, I don't know who comes up with it, but, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a lot going on with airlines right now. And one went out of business yesterday. Things are happening that, we have no control over, but I think this is one of the things that we don't need to discuss, talk about, or change. It's not necessary. The discussion wasn't necessary. So maybe you should look into, when you're doing agendas, what we should skip over is not necessary. This is one of them.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Ms. Smith, you are recognized.
And I know I'm going out of order, sorry. Linda Smith, private citizen, Jupiter, Florida. I understand that this is the law right now, but I would encourage you to delay. This seems to be a good topic for a lot of other people. This is very unusual. Not many airports or none have been named for people still in office. I appreciated previous Commissioner Weiss's concerns about funding and pilot George Ponce's, who is currently suing on grounds of safety. The state of Florida is trying to usurp local control at every turn, and this is very unfortunate. I feel for you guys. Promises of funding get in line behind the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, behind the state of Florida's reimbursement of Alligator Alcatraz. The paper backup on this that I saw is blank. Capital expenditures, operating costs, operating revenues, income. This is not in our budget. I understand you just said this isn't taxpayer money, so now I'm confused. There is no federal funds. How can we move on this item? We, the public, need these blanks filled in. Please do not approve this motion. Let history take its course and just wait.
Please proceed, sir. And state your name for the record.
Robbie T. Littles. I'm here to speak against changing the name of the airport and changing the name of Southern Boulevard. I think the Palm Beach International Airport name has served us well for many, many, many years. I don't think it does us any good to change the name to a convicted criminal many times over.
That's right.
Please be respectful.
Or to change the name to a pedophile.
Please be respectful, sir.
I am respectful. History speaks to Donald Trump having paid for a 14-year-old girl to have...
Sir, that is not the topic today.
That is the topic. Donald J. Trump...
the topic.
Donald J. Trump is the topic. And
Sir.
Once the Epstein files
Thank you for
come
your
out
comments, sir.
completely,
Please have a seat, sir.
you'll realize what the topic really is.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good evening. I'm Michael Cleveland. Been a long time since I've been in Chambers. 9/11 was the last time. I would ask that you not approve this today. It is very much premature. There's a lot of history behind the individual. Certainly, it would be a bad taste for the county if after this person is out of office, he's convicted of other things or whatever happens to him in the future. I just think it's bad, and I would ask you not approve it. just wrong. If you can't say anything good about a person, tell the truth. That is the truth. He's not a good individual for anything to happen positive. Thank you.
Please
Hi.
proceed.
Hold on.
Good afternoon, thank you.
1 second, sir.
What's your name?
My name is Russell Beverstein.
I have not called you at this point, sir.
Oh, okay.
I got Natalie Frazier. I got Representative Kelly Skidmore. She's
Yes, she's right here.
Excellent. I believe it says Eric or Ed Weinberg. Eric Weinberg and Alexis Salerno.
Please proceed. Please state your name for the record.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam Mayor, and Madam Vice Mayor. My name is Natalie Frazier, and I'm a resident of the Palm Beach County. I live in the Arden community, and I'm here opposing the proposed license agreement related to the Palm Beach International Airport. Our airport represents our entire community and should remain a name that unites us. Public assets like airports should not be tied to political individuals, and they should remain neutral and reflective of the community they serve. Palm Beach International Airport already represents who we are and where we live, and I respectfully ask that it remain that way. Thank you for your time.
Please proceed, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. Just a couple housekeeping things that I wanted to note for the record. $5 million of state funds have been
Representative, would you
allocated.
just please state your name for the record?
Kelly Skidmore, resident of Boca Raton, Palm Beach County.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I start over? Just noting for the record that $5 million of taxpayer money is actually being allocated at the state level for implementing this change. I also want to note in section 2.9, airport merchandise shall be purchased exclusively and directly by entities designated by the licensor, meaning DTTM or Donald Trump. I would like to make sure that there are guarantees to the public that there is no kickback scheme and that they are American-made and tariff-free. I want to share with you that when I get home to PBI and I come out, I see all of your photos on the wall, and any one of you would be worthy of having your name on the building. And I enjoy having the relationship that I have with all of you. But I was thinking, if this is a branding thing, how about Lily Pulitzer, right out the gate, right? Lily Pulitzer, Palm Beach County International Airport. Or maybe Jimmy Buffett, Palm Beach County International Airport. I'm thinking carriage, carousel bags, music, cheeseburgers in paradise, all branding. It would be incredible. But my favorite one is Ariana Grande. She's our Boca Raton hometown
Representative,
superstar.
I like to give electeds a little extra time
Thank
out of
you,
a
I
courtesy, but
appreciate it.
please wrap it up.
We can be popular and defy gravity. It would be an excellent marketing campaign that our tourist
Thank you,
commission would
Representative.
love. And the best thing that all of those
Representative.
people have in common, thank you so much for your indulgence, Madam Mayor, is that they do not have 34 felony convictions. They do not have lawsuits. They were not
Representative
indicted for
Skidmore, would you
racketeering.
please stop
They do
and
not
have a seat?
bankruptcies.
Representative
and they did not
Skidmore.
sue the airport
Representative
3
Skidmore,
times.
please stop.
They did not sue the
Your
airport
time is
3
up.
times.
Please have a
Thank you
seat.
so much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time.
Have a great one.
Hello, my name is Eric Weinberger, and I am the proud husband of State Representative Meg Weinberger, District 94, who helped sponsor this legislation. And I want to thank Representative Skidmore for her total bashing of Donald Trump for absolutely no reason. He is a phenomenal president. He has done a great job, and I'm sorry you didn't get your way when the vote happened. So, I'm going to read something that I received from the Trump administration today. Eric, it was very nice speaking with you today. I am the general counsel for the Trump organization I've held for nearly 20 years. Per our discussion, I'm confirming the license agreement signed by us and the president individually gives Palm Beach County the unfettered right to rename Palm Beach International Airport to President Donald J. Trump International Airport immediately in perpetuity.
Please.
The agreement is valid and binding and royalty-free. Anyone claiming otherwise is simply wrong. Therefore, I humbly ask for your vote. I believe that the president and others will be more than happy to help with appropriations and whatever else to help improve the greatest airport in Palm Beach County. And as a proud husband of my wife who busts her rear end in Tallahassee for those who voted for her and those who didn't, I humbly ask for your vote to make this go around. Thank you. And for those trashing the president, grow up.
Who do we have up next? Please state your name for the record.
Alexis Salerno. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon, Mayor Baxter. On behalf of Representative Meg Weinberger, who wishes she could be here today, thank you for the opportunity to comment. Palm Beach International Airport is a gateway to our county and our nation. This renaming has real implications for tourism and long-term economic impact. In a competitive global market, widely recognized names help drive visibility, attract higher spending visitors, and support local revenue, making this licensing agreement a unique opportunity to strengthen Palm Beach County at no direct cost. This is a long-term decision that warrants clear, confident leadership. We respectfully ask for your support of Donald J. Trump International Airport. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have Kathleen Madares, Caroline Wren, Nick Ward, Cindy Falco, Victoria Doyle.
If you please fill both podiums. Thank you.
Kathleen Madares, for the record, I'm talking as a private citizen, but I did come back into politics to work for Representative Meg Weinberger because she is a person, she's a representative for the people. I was retired from politics and came back because of her, for the record. So I just want to state on my comments, I just have to go back a little. Governor DeSantis signed the bill in March of 2026. And according to the Washington Post, the governor said this is appropriate, given he is the first president from Florida and he never asked for the honor. There is a clear precedent for naming major public assets after living presidents, including airports honoring Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Gerald Ford, Bill and Hillary Clinton. In addition, beginning in 2009, during Barack Obama's first year in office, schools across the country, including California and Florida, were named in his honor, demonstrating that such recognitions can occur while a president is still serving. Regarding the trademark royalties, the Trump family has publicly stated over and over, the president and his family will not receive any royalties, licensing fees, or financial consideration whatsoever. In closing, combining a globally recognized name with no direct naming rights presents a unique opportunity to strengthen Palm Beach County's visibility, enhance its brand identity, and support long-term economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, please proceed and state your name for the record.
Victoria Doyle. I was a trademark attorney for 25 years. We own the airport, but the state is forcing us to rename it to President Donald J. Trump, the only airport in the country named after a president that includes the word president. MAGA Meg. The rename is subject to approval of this trademark licensing contract that you're deciding today. You have the power to stop this. Trump, being a man of infinite greed, has filed a trademark application that implies he will use the name commercially in connection with airport goods and services. So all that PR spin about him not making money is a lie. I'm going to oppose those trademark applications, and they will go down. Many states in this country prohibit naming any public place after a convicted felon or any public place after a person who's still alive. Trump is both a convicted felon, and last I knew, he's still alive. We elected you to represent us. We don't want this or the $5.5 million cost. Pipe it down over there. I recently interviewed the one man suing to stop this, Mr. George Ponce, a pilot in Palm Beach Gardens. You can join that lawsuit. Vote no. put an end to this. Do not roll over. Fight for us. We are a majority Democratic county. Trump is a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, divisive Democrat hater, and you shut me off. And
Thank you.
grifter.
Please have a seat.
Hillary Clinton Airport.
Please. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Mayor, I'm going to ask you to keep order. When people are speaking, there should be no one else speaking. And if they're not going to follow the rules, I'm going to ask you to get the sheriff to remove them out of the room. What's fair for one is fair for the other. We're here to listen.
Please proceed.
Caroline Wren, and good afternoon. I live in Lake Clark Shores, just 6 miles away from the airport, and I'm here to strongly support the implementation of the renaming of PBI to President Donald J. Trump International Airport. This licensing agreement seems very straightforward and is meant to protect this county. And as such, our county commissioners should not play politics with a licensing agreement to delay implementation of a law that was passed by the legislature and has been signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis. Naming airports after presidents and national leaders is not unusual. It is, in fact, longstanding tradition. New York has the John F. Kennedy National Airport. D.C. has the Ronald Reagan National Airport. Houston has the George H.W. Bush Airport. Grand Rapids has the Gerald Ford Airport. Springfield has the Abraham Lincoln Airport. And Little Rock has the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport. Airports are economic engines, and federal relationships matter. Aligning Palm Beach International Airport with a sitting president will strengthen the county's profile in D.C., improve competitiveness for future federal aviation priorities, and potentially enhance opportunities for infrastructure grants, modernization funding, and transportation investment. Whether through FAA discretionary programs, infrastructure packages, or broader federal partnerships, increased national prominence can translate into tangible economic benefits for Palm Beach County taxpayers. I urge you to move swiftly and approve this licensing agreement. Thank you.
Administrator Abruzzo, can we confirm that it was a false fire alarm that was pulled? Do we know what's going on? Thank you. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Nick Ward. I'm a Palm Beach County resident and an avid traveler. I'm here to show my support for Palm Beach International Airport and to say why I think it would be an upgrade to call PBI President Donald J. Trump International Airport. Who here loves traveling to airports? You park 30 minutes away, you lose track of your car, transfer terminals, long excruciating lines, a bit like the line we all had to walk through this morning. If you've been to PBI, you know it's a rare exception to this rule. PBI is smooth, elegantly designed, it flows. Landing here, I love looking out the window, seeing the palm trees, the water, and the genuinely happy faces excited to arrive. PBI is matched in efficiency only by Ronald Reagan in D.C., but because of our county, unmatched in its beauty. On that note, Palm Beach has a rare historical opportunity. The man who holds the highest office in the world resides in our county. And in our case, not only is a resident the President of the United States, but his name is synonymous with inspiring, beautiful places. If you've ever been to one of his buildings or properties, the whole thing is to be awed by excellence. We already have one of the best airports in the country. As Florida grows and becomes a financial center, I think it's important we ensure that standard. Naming PBI after our president, I think our airport will get the special attention it deserves, and that exceptional airport experience here in Palm Beach deserves a presidential name.
Thank you. Please call the next few names.
So we had Cindy Falco, Pia Scorin, Russell Bearstein? I apologize if John Carter, Howard Richmond, and Thomas Turkin. She's not speaking? Okay.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, County Administration, and my fellow patriots. My name is John Carter, and I proudly serve as the Assistant Director of Government Affairs for the Associated Builders and Contractors, Florida East Coast, as well as the Vice President for the Palm Beach County Young Republicans. I rise in support on behalf of both my organizations to encourage the county to comply with state law and vote for the licensing agreement before you. Our organizations recognize the potential of economic development and opportunities that will come to this county after naming President Donald J. Trump Airport, who is made history alone with surviving assassination attempts. I appreciate the board considering it while he's still alive. Colleagues on the other side of the aisle prefer the latter. So with that, please comply with state law and vote for this licensing agreement. Thank you.
Please proceed. State your name for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Russell Beverstein. I'm a proud resident of the village in North Palm Beach. Thank you for all that you do. I know it's is not always a rewarding position. I had a rather impassioned plea and argue against voting against the naming of Donald Trump, but I understand that's moot. So let me give you some information that I just received from a very reputable friend of mine. This is new information. New reporting exposes the Trump airport grift in Palm Beach County. According to the Miami Herald, this apparently came out this morning, the deal to rename Palm Beach International Airport after Donald Trump is packed with perks for Trump's business. Under the tentative agreement, airport stores would be forced to buy branded merchandise only from Trump's approved retailers. Trump's company gets control over who manufactures those products. Trump gets veto power over how his biography is presented in airport materials. Does this sound like Donald Trump to you? Excuse me. Trump-linked entities could profit off airport-branded merchandise sold off-site. This is how presidential airport naming works. Other airports don't have private companies control over branding, messaging, and supply chains. Even Palm Beach officials privately warned the deal could hand Trump a commercial benefit from a taxpayer-funded facility. This isn't about honoring a president, but rather building a revenue stream and controlling narrative using public infrastructure and tax dollars. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you.
State your name for the record.
Yes, Thomas Turkin, Boynton Beach. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I want to start off by thanking you guys for everything you do. Public service truly is thankless and quite the sacrifice spending time away from your families. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I love the president, that I hate the president, and anyone in the crowd who is for or against this, the conversation that has passed. This is a state law, and what's before this commission is not whether it's going to be renamed or not. It's whether they protect the county residents, Republican, Democratic, and Independent, and people who don't even vote, of their best interest. And so this shouldn't be a hyper-political thing. Unfortunately, it has become that. And it's really egregious to see a congressional candidate tell her constituency to pipe down. I think voters will remember that come November. Completely unprofessional. And so what I'm asking for this body to do is look at this holistically from a perspective of not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not President Obama, but look at this as what is in the best interest of Palm Beach County residents. Because if this doesn't go through, the renaming is still going to happen either way. But what happens then is now the county has less leverage, less negotiating power, and the staff has done a great job negotiating this contract to protect the residents. We lose that if this doesn't come through. Also, because this has been politicized, I think it's important to note that the federal government is watching this along with the state government. And so when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to traffic dollars and other appropriations, I'll finish up, I promise. Other appropriations, I think it's crucial to understand that this body should posture itself in a collaborative effort to work with the state, work with the federal government, not against, not for renaming for an airport, but for the residents' best interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Turkin.
Hello, Commissioners, County Administrator, staff. Howard Richmond, Chair of the Palm Beach County Democratic Party. Okay, just want to point out, I know it's a licensing agreement, I understand that, but I'm thinking possibly if the agreement isn't passed, maybe the name doesn't get passed. Just want to point out two major airports we think of, I think Kennedy and Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport are named after two totally different men with totally different views who left an indelible mark on this country. I think there's no doubt about that. What I'd like to say is I think renaming PBI after a sitting president is jumping the gun. It's important to see what the final record will show, and I ask the commission to vote against the agreement. Thank you.
I've called Cindy Falco a couple of times. I have not seen her come forward, so that's it for public comments.
Thank you. I have no Lights? Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some questions for staff. So the agenda item states that this has no fiscal impact. Does that statement refer solely to the license fee, or does it account for the full cost of implementing the airport renaming?
It's solely related to the license agreement. It has nothing to do with the cost of signage or other. This agreement authorizes the use of the name. It does not mandate the use of the name. It's the state law that mandates the use of the name.
All right. Has the Department of Airports prepared an estimate for the total cost to rebrand PBI, including exterior, interior signage, wayfinding systems, digital platforms, website, mobile applications, social media accounts, uniforms, stationery, operational materials, ticketing system updates, and marketing materials?
Yes, we estimated $5.5 million.
I haven't seen that budget.
It was submitted to the state of Florida. Yeah.
We included that as part of the appropriation process. I think you heard earlier that will be included and lobbied to be included in the state's budget.
What's the anticipated timeline for the full rebranding implementation, and over how many fiscal years will those costs be spread?
It will depend on receipt of available funding and the procurement process to actually change the signage and to procure all new, branded items. I think the long lead time will be the signage portion, particularly the exterior signage, because we will have to go through a procurement, design, construction. So I would say probably 8 to 12 months.
But you just said if the funding, so what funding are you missing?
So the funding piece we're referring to is when the bill was first presented, we created an estimate of what it would cost to name changing. Big signs, small signs, pieces, all the information along the way. That has not been fully appropriated yet. Understand that will.
What does that mean?
The state has not adopted a budget yet, and we are full anticipation that it will be included in the budget.
But appropriation. It may not be.
We don't have.
You
the
have
state
no
budget.
certainty of that.
The state has not adopted a budget. Correct.
All right, I just want to get that on the.
Correct.
I'm just trying to get set the record
Correct.
straight, okay? Or not even straight, just set the record. So what is the funding source for rebranding costs? Will these come from airport operating revenues if you don't get that appropriation, or if it exceeds those appropriations, will there be passenger facility charges or general county funds? And are PFCs even eligible for this use under FAA regulations?
So we would have to seek alternative funding sources, which would include airport revenues and any available grant funding sources that we could apply for. Some of the items may be eligible, some of the items are not eligible. For instance, soft costs like stationery and uniforms would not be eligible for grant funding. Certain costs associated with construction or design may be eligible.
So have you identified any comparable airport renamings nationally and their associated implementation costs?
No.
For example, what did DCA to Reagan or Idlewild to JFK transition cost in adjusted dollars?
We did not do a comparison.
Is there any reason why?
Because we analyzed what the cost would be we actually had a signage package coming before COVID. We looked at the costs that were estimated during that time and escalated based on that. We didn't move forward with the signage updates because of the COVID situation and lack of funding.
Well, from my research, those were significantly more expensive. I know they're not exactly the same size, but and based on the dollars that were spent back in those days, it was still significantly more than $5.5 million. Section 2.9 requires that any airport merchandise bearing the new name be purchased exclusively from entities designated by the licensor. Has DTM identified the designated merchandise entity or entities?
Not exactly, but it will be approved by us.
So that would be a yes or a no?
Specific entity that it will be? No.
My question is, has DTTM identified the designated merchandise entity or entities?
No.
Okay. What is the ownership structure of the designated merchandise entity?
The structure of the entity that is unknown?
Yep.
We don't know, but we'll have to approve.
So you don't know. Okay. Is it affiliated with DTTM operations, the Trump organization, any Trump family member, or any entity which hold an economic interest?
No.
And that's because?
That's what we agreed to.
It's in your agreement.
Yes.
But we don't know who the entity is.
Correct.
Okay, I'll leave that. If the merchandise entity earns wholesale markup or profit margins on goods sold to airport retailers, would that revenue be captured by the prohibition in Section 2.9, or does it fall outside the restriction?
Can you repeat that?
If the merchandise entity earns wholesale markup or profit margins on goods sold to airport retailers, would that revenue be captured by the prohibition in Section 2.9, or does that fall outside the restriction?
It may fall outside of the prohibition, but Trump or DTTM will not make a profit from it. We don't have the ability to restrict that, but what we had the ability to restrict was that Trump or DTTM entity did not make a profit from it, any royalties or anything from it.
What's the estimated annual revenue from branded merchandise sales at PBI under current operations, and what is the projected impact of requiring all branded merchandise to flow through a single designated supplier?
We don't sell branded merchandise, nor have we ever sold branded merchandise. We provide promotional items, and those are allowed to be purchased from any retailer.
So we receive no royalties?
No.
And under this new agreement, will we receive any payments?
No.
Okay.
Not for promotional items.
How many signage changes, marketing campaigns, digital updates, and any promotional materials does the Department of Airports typically produce or modify in a given year?
A lot of questions. So how many signage changes do we do in a year? It depends on the need, whether we need to produce.
Typically produce or modify in a given year.
We haven't had a wholesale signage change in many years. I want to say it's been at least a decade.
How about marketing campaigns?
We do marketing campaigns every single year. We spend anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 a year on marketing, primarily air service and just the airport generally.
How much money do you spend on marketing materials?
On marketing materials themselves? Do you mean like promotional items? And
You
typically,
tell me.
typically about maybe $50,000
Per year?
Yeah.
And what's going to happen to those existing marketing materials?
They will be retired.
What does that mean?
We will not provide them as promotional items any longer.
Does that mean they'll end up in the trash?
We haven't discussed that. Yes, we can give them away quickly.
If you don't, will they end up in the trash?
I wouldn't
What about all
suggest
the
that we do that.
What about all the materials that are in the retail shops that are branded PBI?
I don't know that there are any PBI branded materials in the
I see
actual
lots
shops.
of T-shirts and other things in there.
Generally, it's Palm Beach or the Palm Beaches. I'm not quite sure that there are any that are branded with Palm Beach International Airport. They would need to get our approval to do that.
Okay. Under sections 2.3 and 2.8, each proposed variation of the license mark and each proposed use of the Trump NIL requires prior written approval from DTTM with a 30-day initial review period. Is that timeline operationally workable for a commercial service airport that handles over 6 million passengers annually?
So that is why there were originally some license marks that were or stylized like license marks that were attached to the agreement so that we had an initial group that were approved. The agreement contemplates agreeing to guidelines within 30 days, submitting it to the Trump Organization for their approval, and then we will have guidelines to work on moving forward. So that should allow us to be able to move a little bit more quickly than doing. Primarily, the requirement for individual approvals is for any variations that are not in the guidelines or in the exhibit to the agreement.
If the airport needs to update emergency wayfinding signage or respond to terminal reconfiguration on an expedited basis, does this agreement provide any mechanism for expedited approval, or is the county locked into a 30-day cycle?
This shouldn't affect emergency signage in any way. We don't brand emergency signage.
I think my question was slightly different.
We don't brand emergency signage. It's not branded or trademarked.
Okay. Has the Department of Airports assessed the staff resources, including legal time review, that we required on an ongoing basis to manage the brand approval process with DTTM?
It shouldn't require any additional staff than we currently have.
I guess my question was, have you assessed it?
With all due respect, I don't believe it would require any additional staff.
Okay. Section 2.5 contains a non-disparagement provision. If the county needs to communicate publicly about operational challenges, service disruptions, or safety concerns at the airport, has the county attorney evaluated whether that provision could constrain the county's public communications?
Yes, and it would not.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Commissioner Weiss. Just for a point of order, how was this relevant to our agenda item?
Because this is the contract that's in front of us. These are questions regarding this agreement.
And we do have another commissioner waiting to, or the vice mayor waiting to speak, if you would like to.
Now, I have a number of questions.
Would you like to give someone else an opportunity and I'll come back to you?
If you would like, I would be happy to yield back and you can have somebody else and then come back to me.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So when this first came up, I know the discussion was about selling merchandise with the logo on it and how all this would work. And it was pointed out to me, someone who was in another airport in New York, JFK, that there was no merchandise at the airport that this person could find. Everything was New York. New York, everything. And it got me thinking about us, and I honestly didn't realize that we do not currently sell anything that's PBI. We have PBI stuff, but it's giveaways.
It's all promotional items.
Okay, and we've never sold anything
No,
for
we have
PBI.
not.
Okay, so, and in the future, like, we still would have the ability to sell Palm Beach, whatever, Lily, all the things that
Yes.
we're already moving forward
Yes.
in the airport, like we do now.
Yes.
So with this, my first question is, since we do not currently sell anything that is PBI, and we're entering into this agreement that anything that has this Trump, or whatever the full name, the logo is, if it's sold, would we get royalties from the selling of that?
Revenues.
The revenue. If it's sold, is that in the airport, if there becomes a place to buy this, do we get anything?
No.
Is it going to be sold? Because right now, none of this is sold,
No.
it's all given away.
No.
Is that, am I understanding this?
That is not sold?
It's not
Correct.
sold, it's all, and currently, it's given away.
Yes.
In the future, it's gonna be the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. So all right, so that part is clear, and then this agreement does have us, the county, entering into this agreement for the naming. Right now, the state has made the law, like, that's going to be renamed. If, as I understand it, this is our seat at the table, this agreement, that you all, and I know you've all worked on it because we've had a number of conversations. Thank you, all of you who've worked on this. But without this agreement, this would move forward either way, and we do not have a seat at the table. So this maintains us as relevant in this process. Am I understanding that?
Well, the statute necessarily requires an agreement to move forward, and then it enumerates the penalties if we don't.
So not only would we lose our seat at the table, we would be penalized?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so just so I am understanding what is actually, I mean, you have a summary here. Today's vote is not whether to rename the airport. That is not what is on our agenda. That's not what we're voting on. That state has already made that. This is entering into this agreement where it is clear that there's no royalties to be made by the selling of this merchandise. If it's branded, it's going to be promotional, as it is already. That stays put. Is there any other relevant part that you would like to highlight? I know you went through this, it was a lot of legalese. I would ask you, could you break it down a little for us non-lawyers in the room on the couple of relevant points that have been made in this agreement? Besides the royalties part of it, the payment part. Because there was a question about the non-disparagement, but that has been dealt with.
Yes, and the non-disparagement, we spent a lot of time going back and forth to make sure that it's confined just to the mark itself and not about the speech of either employees or the county. They still maintain their constitutional rights, still maintain their legislative privilege. So it's not about muzzling people from expressing themselves. It's strictly about how the mark would be treated as far as being in the airport.
Okay. So, I mean, for myself, and thank you, Commissioner Weiss, I know you have more questions that you'd like to ask, and thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak in the middle of this. But, I mean, this is a large document, but I think for the purposes of the public, it's important that we understand exactly what it is we're voting for. It's not whether or not this airport gets renamed. It's whether or not we maintain our seat at the table. And what do we get with that? What are we setting our table? And I think what you've provided for us, this is definitely something that I can support, what the work that's been done here. Thank you for all the work on it. I know that there was a lot of back and forth, and I appreciate that. But with this other, this is happening, and this is our chance to have our seat at the table. So when the time comes, I'll be happy to make the motion. But I know Commissioner Weiss wanted to finish, or Mayor, whoever else you'd like to call on.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. No matter what we do today, the airport has been renamed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So what we are doing today is protecting the interests and the rights of Palm Beach County. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. So the license mark is based on two pending U.S. Patent Trade Office trademark applications, not granted registrations. Has the county attorney assessed the risk that these applications could be refused, and what the county's position would be if the county spends millions on rebranding and the marks are subsequently denied registration?
We're anticipating that they'll be approved, but if they're not approved, then it wouldn't go forward. The naming wouldn't go forward.
And what about the
necessarily requires the trademark to be approved?
Right. And what about the millions of dollars spent?
Spent by whom?
By us rebranding.
Well, that's the state's decision, and the state is funding it.
Well, it would be a grant to us, correct? Or are they going to pay directly?
For that specific purpose.
If there was no trademark agreement, then the state law would be the only other requirement is getting FAA approval if the name is actually determined not to be trademarked.
Has the Department of Airports had any preliminary communication with the FAA regarding the name change approval process? Is there any indication of the likely timeline?
Yes, the FAA has notified us how to submit for approval. It's through a portal. You submit a request for a name change. It's a ministerial change.
And what is the likely timeline?
If we submit following this meeting, likely it would become effective, I believe, July 9th. I think that was the date, July 9th. July 9th would be the effective date.
Section 2.7 provides that if FAA approval is not obtained within 12 months, either party may request a meeting and the county may suspend rebranding expenditures. Does county intend to begin incurring rebranding costs before the FAA approval is received, or will all expenditures be held pending that approval?
I would recommend that they all be held pending approval.
But is that our policy, or do we not have that policy?
In order to move forward with rebranding, I would need to bring items to the Board of County Commissioner for approval.
If FAA approval is denied, what happens to any rebranding expenditures already incurred? Does the agreement provide for any cost recovery from the licensor?
I don't believe it provides for any cost recovery from the licensor, but as we indicated, we would first wait for FAA approval, which would be occurring shortly after the effective date of the law.
Okay. Section 7.2 requires the county to indemnify the licensor against third-party claims arising from airport ownership, operation, maintenance, and control. Can the county attorney explain what categories of claims this could include and confirm whether sovereign immunity protections under Section 768.28 are fully preserved?
Yes.
Okay. Has the county attorney evaluated the potential cost of defending the licensor in litigation that names Trump or DTTM as defendants solely because the airport bears the name, such as slip and fall claims or ADA litigation?
So just to make it clear, those are claims which would properly be ours to begin with. Those are the only claims he's getting indemnified for.
The agreement requires binding arbitration through JMS for unresolved disputes. Has the county attorney assessed the compatibility of mandatory binding arbitration with the county's obligations under Florida Public Records Law and Sunshine Act?
Yes.
Thank you. This agreement is perpetual with no periodic review, no performance metrics, and no county termination right for convenience. Is there any precedent in Palm Beach County's contract portfolio for a perpetual agreement with a private party that includes no sunset clause or periodic review mechanisms?
That wouldn't be necessary here because there is no provision for termination except it be revoked by the state.
Was any negotiation conducted with DTTM regarding the terms of this agreement, or was it presented to county on a take-it-or-leave-it basis to comply with the act?
Absolutely not a take it or leave it. It was
highly negotiated.
Spirited negotiation.
Okay. And lastly, if the board has concerns about specific provisions, is there an opportunity to negotiate amendments with DTTM before approval, or does the act impose a deadline that precludes further negotiation?
Are you asking if the board did not approve today if we could negotiate further?
My question is there an opportunity to negotiate amendments with DTTM before it's approved, or does the act impose a deadline that precludes us from having further negotiations?
No, the act does not prevent that.
So we can continue to negotiate if the board decided?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Attorney Audie, you mentioned that the state basically says that we have to enter into an agreement.
It requires the agreement in order to proceed, or if we don't,
What does it specifically say about the agreement? What specific agreement are we supposed to enter?
It requires us to diligently pursue all required approvals agreements to implement the name change.
Okay, so just an agreement, not a trademark, nor a name, nor a licensure agreement.
Yes, it is very specific.
Use the name.
Okay. The execution of an agreement with the rights holder authorizing the commercial use of the President Donald J. Trump International Airport by Palm Beach County, and it includes certain minimum requirements that must be included for the protection of the county.
Okay. You also mentioned that there is a period to enter this agreement. What is that period?
it goes in effect on July 1st. So it's any time up to then, for us to actually put it in place. The reason why we're doing it now as opposed to July is based on the date that the application goes in and when it will be effective in July. So as mentioned today, it has to be, I think the specific deadline we have is the 27th of this month, which we learned from the FAA, in order to be effective by July 9th.
Okay. You said there's also a penalty. Is that penalty explained and described?
As the statute enumerates the consequences.
So
You
section
have to give me a minute.
332.0756, Florida statute provides for the suspension of the FDOT funding until a commercial service airport demonstrates compliance with this section. The new state law amended 332.0075, so failure to comply with that section could result in a loss of FDOT funding. Our grant assurances also require compliance with applicable laws. This is an applicable law. It also includes clawback provisions, meaning that they could seek reimbursement of existing grant funds.
Once we sign this agreement, will we have free use of how this logo and merchandising that we use it, where we use it, how we use it? Do we have total say over that, or do we have to constantly get approval?
So the way the agreement's currently written, there are example stylized marks in Exhibit A to the agreement that can be used without any further approval. It also contemplates that we will submit proposed brand guidelines to the Trump Organization within 30 days for their approval. So that'll lay out all of our planned uses for the airport name, consistent with what we reasonably and customarily do.
So this is after we sign this agreement?
Yes, and then they will have a certain period of time to provide approval of that, which cannot be unreasonably withheld, conditioned, or denied.
So essentially, we got to ask permission on how we're going to use our logo.
Once we have the guidelines approved, it'll be a comprehensive, the goal is to have a comprehensive document so we're not having to go back for individual approvals.
And what if they choose not to approve what we're asking for?
If they choose not to approve the guidelines, then we would resubmit based on any comments that they have, if they're reasonable. If we reach impasse, obviously, that would be a discussion that we would have with the county attorney's office. Our initial discussions with the individuals who were responsible for the license mark that was provided to us, they were very reasonable, understood, and made accommodations for requests that we had made.
And once we sign the dotted line, there is no getting out of this. Is that correct? There's no termination unless by the state?
Unless provided by law.
This was presented to me yesterday. It's an extremely long document. I have done my best to try to digest as much as I could in a very short amount of time. I don't see why there was such a rush to get it done today when we could have done it at our next scheduled meeting. So that's my comment at this time. I yield my time.
I would make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Woodward and a second by Commissioner Marino. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. Just follow up on a couple of questions that my colleague asked. So on the use of the mark, you say that we have approval on the certain marks that we're able to use. What if we were to use that mark on something DTTM found objectionable?
So there are provisions in the agreement, and I'll defer to David on this, that provide for further resolution of disputes. If they believe that our use is inconsistent with the approved license uses, that they could object to that, and we would go through that process. However, if you read the section regarding the approved license uses, it's very, very broad for any reasonable or customary use that we would typically use it for.
I'm asking a question, and I'm trying to get an answer.
Okay. I was just about to say, it's been approved for customary airport use. So if we were going to do something that was not customary, or if there was a dispute as to whether or not it was customary, we'd have to reach out, talk to them, discuss it. If we couldn't agree, and it was such that it was important to the county, then we'd have to go through the alternate dispute resolution process.
Based on my understanding of this contract, since we have the approved mark, if we were to imprint it onto something that we wanted to use for some marketing campaign, and then they found it objectionable.
Well, we have limitations, and it's funny you use the word objectionable because that was one of the clauses that we refused. So we went, it had to be something more than just objectionable. Disparaging is what comes to mind.
That's up for interpretation. What's disparaging?
Well, there are legal guidance for those words. I can't get into every specific word, but we chose just 3, which we thought was pretty standard in contract clauses for trademarks. But we took out the ones that we thought were just too subjective and left disparagement.
And I appreciate that good work, but my question goes back, it goes to my question though. What's the remedy for that? And then if they in fact do object to it, are we then, will they reimburse us for that cost?
Well, we do have, if we get to an arbitration or to a lawsuit, that we'd get attorney's fees, we prevail.
All right. And then you said, Commissioner asked about the termination. And you said the only way to, if the state were to terminate it, does this then automatically terminate, or then do we have to terminate?
Oh, if the state terminates it, it's terminated.
So if they rename the airport, and I didn't read the language in there, but is that language in this contract?
No, the language is not in, the language is in the statute.
But, okay.
Well, you mean if we incorporated that provision in it? Yes, we did, because there was, during the negotiations, there were requests for provision for termination, and we made it clear it was perpetual. So if there were going to be any termination, it would be as per statute.
So you're saying that so it's not in perpetuity, it's in perpetuity as long as the statute allows?
So if you go to section 3.1, it says the agreement shall commence on the effective date and shall continue in perpetuity unless A, the FAA approval is revoked or denied, or B, the act is amended to change the airport name, or the name of the airport is otherwise changed in accordance with applicable law.
Okay.
Commissioner Powell, were you finished?
I mean, and just to, I mean, I was just going to make the point. I mean, this, as we know, this is not about the renaming of the airport. The state has already done that. This is about this contract, and I agree with my colleague that, the timing on this, basically a day. We received a copy of the contract yesterday morning, and we're expected to make a decision on it today. So, I am not comfortable with that. I had my piece, I spoke my piece when this was being discussed as to where my personal feelings are, but we're past that now. And this contract, and I want to ensure that our residents are protected. And I think we still have, I think that I have more questions about this.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This agreement, does it, and based on, and this would be for Attorney Adi, based on the language that was passed in HB 919, which gave the state the right to rename all airports in the state of Florida, but more specifically, this was the one airport in that legislation that was changed, the name was changed. Does this agreement limit future elected officials, whether it be at the state or here at the county level, from having the ability to rename the airport?
At a county, yes. The state, no.
Thank you. I heard from my understanding, there's a pending legal challenge. What is the status of that legal challenge?
That was by an individual. I think it was a pilot. It was filed in federal court, but I haven't followed the pleadings on that case.
And that would have no impact on this particular agreement before us today, correct?
Hypothetically, it could.
I'm sorry, ma'am, if you don't mind. I'm trying to concentrate. You've been making a lot of, but you're not up here. So if you don't mind, please give me an opportunity to speak. Thanks. All right? And I didn't speak when you were speaking, so please don't do that to me. That's disrespectful. Okay? Unacceptable. Laura, what does this do for global branding on the long term? Is there no impact, or is that something that's not related to this particular agreement?
I can't tell you what it will be, what the ultimate impact will be on our brand. Obviously, we'll have to go through an entire rebranding effort. The state appropriation also includes dollars to allow us to work with a consultant on strategies for rebranding as well. It will be a large undertaking. I don't have a crystal ball on, what the impact of that will be, though.
Thank you. Let me ask you
Yes,
this.
It was $500,000. That was, so in the appropriation request, $500 million was hard construction type cost. $500,000 was the softer cost of rebranding, which could include consulting for brand updates, promotional items, uniforms, things like that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized. Oh, sorry.
2 more.
Excuse me, push.
No, this is clarification, not 500 million.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. 5 million and 500,000.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would take 500 million, though.
And I think these are two questions that people would like to know, and I know they've been asked of me. One, the merchandise being sourced through approved retailers. Why must this take place through this particular agreement? Patrick?
That was done for quality controls so that it's whatever the products are made based on the trademark and NIL, that they would be consistent.
Thank you. And last question, Madam Mayor, is the existing code of the airport. I don't know if that was in this. This is as Commissioner Flores indicated, this is a pretty heavy agreement that we received yesterday. So I know that a lot of people got this information and they came down here today to participate. And we thank you all for taking this seriously in public comment. But we did receive this information yesterday along with all of the other agenda items. So it's important that we have the opportunity to go through this and ask questions. And if you don't like that, then, I suggest you do something else. But the question I have is, will the existing code of the airport change? I know we're PBI, and people have been asking the question, will the code change? I know Ronald Reagan is still called DCA for clarity. So the question has been along those lines.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the answer is yes, it will be changing. It's an FAA decision. Congressman Mast did file a bill to change it to DJT. And then Secretary Duffy, who is the ultimate head of that decision, posted a public comment that Congressman Mast's bill is not needed, that the FAA is well underway to change our airport to DJT. That's not even a state decision. It's not a county decision. That's the FAA's decision.
Commissioner Powell, were you finished? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, are you with us?
I sure am.
Thank you.
Appreciate the lively conversation.
Yeah, she's a trooper.
Clerk.
I want to commend our attorney as well as Airport Authority, Lauren Beebe, for their very concise answers. Appreciate it, as well as the questions posed by my colleagues. Very much enjoy this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to wrap up comments and questions to clarify a few things. Does the state have in their current budget dollars to come to here? Should the governor approve it for this renaming?
Will be included in the budget that the legislature will be taking up. We've made that push.
And I also had a reassurance this morning from the governor's office that they would be covering this, not the county, the state.
That's our intent, and that's what we've been lobbying since this was first presented to us.
So I just wanted to clarify that. It doesn't make sense that they would pass this and then say, well, we're not going to fund the renaming. So that makes no sense anywhere. So I would like to thank the governor and our legislature for making that possible. That's first and foremost. I would ask ourselves, I heard some very disheartening comments about a sitting president. Whether you like him or not, there's a respect of office owed to a man who serves this country. And I would like to just reiterate, ask yourself what you look for in a president. What do we look for? We look for safety. We look for border security, and we look for a strong military. When we look for a president, we also look for economic improvements and to make things more affordable by cutting regulations, by making us the #1 oil driller in the world, to be able to bring down gas prices and make it more affordable for our residents. We also we also need a president strong in foreign policy that protects us from outside places that would like to do us harm, whether that is China or it is Iran who wants to bring Sharia law to this country. And I say absolutely no. So before you get up here and discourage our president, let's show him the respect he is owed. He is also, might I remind you, we have one of the largest Jewish populations in the world, if not the largest. He also named Israel Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. He also put us, an embassy there, right in Jerusalem. So let's not forget everything that man has done for our Jewish community here in this county. So let's never forget that. With that being said, we are not renaming an airport today. We are just protecting the residents of this county as he protects the residents of this country. So clerk, I'm going to ask you to do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Powell? No. Commissioner Sachs?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss?
No.
Commissioner Flores? No. Commissioner Marino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woodward?
Yes.
Mayor Baxter?
Absolutely yes. Thank you. Please see that that passes 4-3.
Thank you.
What item?
Mayor,
How many are there?
this is the original. If you can sign it, so the clerk can sign it, so we can get it up.
Where am I signing?
May 5th.
Cinco de Mayo.
Please exit this way.
No worries. Thank you for covering. We are going to move on. Are there any staff comments? We're going to close out the agenda, and then we will start matters by the public. No comments? Staff comments? Okay. We will move on. Yes, Administrator Abruzzo.
Staff recommends a motion to receive and file the updated board directives. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Flores. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Would it be okay if we did board comments? Because I do have a proclamation.
Yeah, that's what we're doing now.
Okay, perfect.
And we're going to do them all three together. If you have direction, comments, let's do them all together today. We'll start right to left. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. I'd like to request an off-site proclamation declaring May 27, 2026 as Palm Beach County Senior Health and Fitness Day.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0.
And I'd also like to say thank you to the more than 600 folks that showed up at the Forum Club on Friday. It was the 50-year anniversary. The board okayed a proclamation. Thank you, Mayor. It was something that I talked about with the executive director of the Forum Club a year ago. But I want to say that the room was full of folks of different opinions, but it was civil, it was informative, and when you consider that the first speaker at the Forum Club was Jimmy Carter, and as a candidate, and then to have a sitting president address the Forum Club, what it does tell us is that there is a community here that listens to ideas that are thought-provoking and pertinent and patient and want to just deal in what is fair and right. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to request approval for off-site proclamation declaring May 7th, 2026 as Until Justice Just Is. Also requesting approval for off-site proclamation celebrating the 40th anniversary of Community Partners of South Florida as a community-based organization, and approval of an off-site proclamation declaring May 2025 as ALS Awareness Month. All three.
I have a motion by Commissioner Powell. I have a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please set that motion carries 7-0.
No further comments, or no?
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you. I just did want to say a special thank you to Caitlin Joyce from my office. She's been with me from the beginning. I actually inherited her from the previous commissioner, and she is graduating from FAU tomorrow with her master's degree and leaving public office, public service to move to a more private venture. But I wanted to thank her. She's been with the county for 5 years. I was responsible for making my newsletter so amazing, and she's done a great job. I just wanted to thank her for her time and wish her the best in her future.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, good job to Caitlin. She's a pretty cool, amazing person. So, I'd like to appoint Ruth Umholtz to the Water Utilities Advisory Board. I'm also requesting two off-site proclamations, one declaring May 20th, 2026 as Cuban American Heritage Month, and a second one proclaiming Quinceañera a 15th birthday celebration.
I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please say that that motion carries 7-0. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to request two off-site proclamations, one declaring May 20th, 2026 as National Trauma Survivors Day, and the other declaring May 16th through 22nd, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week.
I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Flores. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0.
And I also have to announce that my office, Virginia Savietto, who has been a part of our team for 7.5 years, has left us and into the private sector. And so very pleased for her. She was an excellent part of our team, helped us innumerably with lots of great marketing ideas. If you don't know, she was instrumental in the 2020 census and ensuring that we had great outreach going on throughout Palm Beach County. And so for that, we're indebted to her. And also, she helped us create our newsletter in Spanish as well. So we made sure that folks, whether they spoke English or Spanish, could understand what was happening in District 2. So just want to thank her for her years of service and wish her all the best in her new endeavors.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Sachs, if you're there, did you have any comments?
Yes, I want to thank my colleagues for allowing me to participate in this very important and interesting meeting. And I do want to announce that because of the good work from Florida Atlantic University in allowing us to have interns, I've had an amazing intern who has just graduated from Florida Atlantic University in planning and zoning. and she may be joining our team there as as one of our staff members. So very excited about that, and I'm sad to see Caitlin and Virginia Savieto leave, but that's part of the whole process. And thank you all very much, and I look forward to returning there to Palm Beach County soon. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I would like to recognize the National Travel and Tourism Week students who came from Suncoast High School and their performance down in the atrium and their hard work that they did. Thank you so much for doing that. It meant a lot to us and our residents that came here to visit today. I would also like to thank Lydia Maldonado and the pastors that came today to the courthouse to help celebrate National Day of Prayer. It was amazing to hear such powerful words. So thank you so much for everything you do and giving the glory to Jesus. Also, I would like to, ahead of a Mother's Day weekend, wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. Have a great weekend, and you are appreciated. Thank you, everyone. We are going to take a 5-minute recess and then start matters by the public. Commissioner Flores, we need you to read names for cards. Thank you for joining us.
All right, we ready? All right, we have Mary Kelly, Mickey Isaacson, Candace Rojas, Eileen Luongo. Please come forward. We have 2 podiums. Line up, please. Come on, don't be shy. I don't think you guys are shy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and officials of Palm Beach County. My name is Mickey Isaacson, and I live in Boynton Beach. I am a mother and grandmother who is concerned that sex trafficking and pedophilia is happening right here in my own county. I want to be a voice that is not afraid to speak out and ask for leadership's help to address and stop this horrid, unthinkable act with urgency and integrity. We need all you sitting up there, our local sheriffs and judges, to be accountable, to do the right thing, to end this here in Palm Beach County. Our First Lady, Melania, asked that Congress let the victims give their testimony and record their statements and put them in official records in Congress. What steps can you take to encourage the Epstein and other Palm Beach County sex trafficked victims to come forward to testify? I request that funds be made available from the Palm Beach County, approximately $7 billion budget, to cover the expense for the victims to travel to DC so they can record their testimony in the congressional records. Can you offer them any local programs to help them heal after this time? Are the judges supporting a common law grand jury so that they have a safe place to come forward for accountability? What assurance can you provide to the victims that they are protected and supported? Are there funds in the sheriff's $1 billion budget providing protection to them? As county leaders, are there more ways you can support the sex trafficked victims? I have more to say, but thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eileen Luongo. I'm from, actually I'm from Port St. Lucie, but I'm here because I have worked in Palm Beach and I've also lived in Broward County. I started 14 years ago. I was into human trafficking in the Broward County with the commissioners, and I found out that that was #1 county in the whole United States. Can you imagine that? And of all the counties in the whole United States, Broward County was #1. The #1 state at that time was Texas. These victims at that time, what they talked about, were victims who were runaways. I was thinking in my mind, this is 12, 14-year-old girls. They're out on the streets, they get trafficked, and their life becomes hell. The average lifespan of those children that lived that life was 2 to 4 years. And this is truth. This was all, I put on a big symposium at that time. I had about 250 people. I had speakers from Broward County. So I'm very interested in this. Moving forward, Palm Beach County is #3 county. #3. You have to understand what that means in the whole United States, that there are only 2 counties ahead of you that has human trafficking as the #1 problem for these children. Could I speak one more second?
Please wrap it up.
Okay. I'm just asking that these children, that the Mothers Against Pedophiles have a voice in this county, and that these children are looked after and there are laws passed to save them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Flores, don't we have a criminal justice board that you...
Yes, we do have a criminal justice board. I think this is something that we might be able to take a peek at. Our ordinance looks for mostly a lot of the jail population items, but it might be something that we might be able to expand upon.
Thank you. I'm not sure who was first, so.
I'm just going to relinquish my time if possible. I forgot to check the box. I didn't want to speak, just turned in a card.
Thank you.
Y'all have a nice day. Thank you.
I'll try to be brief. Good afternoon,
Palm Beach County Commissioners, I wanted to thank you for approving the PBI airport after President Donald J. Trump. I just want to say I'm speaking as a mother of 4 children, and we wanted to ask the Commission if you could consider the May 2026-27 to make a resolution for May, and because it's Mother's Day in May, Moms Against Pedophiles. And it sounds kind of dramatic and over the top, but we have to be because it's a very serious problem. And there's new evidence coming out that will actually prove that our president was an informant and helped to prosecute Epstein in 2019. So I brought these lilies as a symbol of peace, renewal, purity, and strength and healing for these victims. Because what I'm learning through doing a lot of research is that there's 1,000 victims that live here right now in Palm Beach County that were Epstein victims. And they're all around 40s and 50s, and they have children of their own. So I feel like as leaders, I consider you are our leaders, to make that stand. And so it's not political because it's both sides, whatever. But in the past, the courts, the lawyers, the judges, prosecutors, they were actually calling the victims prostitutes. So they were actually shaming the victims. So I wanted to, hopefully we can create a resolution for May that is Moms Against Pedophile Month. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Karen Ching Singh Yeho. I am so sorry. Eric Atkins, William Dirks, Linda Smith.
My name
Aaron had to leave.
I'm supposed to have 3 minutes or 1 minute and 30 seconds?
Yes, 1 minute 30.
1 minute and 30 seconds?
Yep.
Okay. So,
Please state your name for the record.
yes. My name is Karen Chingshen Yeho. I'm a Palm Beach County resident, and I would respectfully request the Palm Beach County Commissioner appropriate fund for property title D fraud scam. Miami Beach prosecute the scammers. New York State prosecute scammers. 14 Judicial Circuit Court state attorney prosecute scammer. Broward County did that. I went to the Palm Beach County state attorney's office. He said, I cannot prosecute anything unless it come from City of Boynton Beach. City of Boynton Beach, I provide them with evidence that I own the deed, I have a chain of title, I pay for my property, but the detective declined to send it to the state attorney's office. Why? I have no idea. It's incompetent? I don't know. Because I'm a licensed real estate broker, I'm a licensed community association manager, I also have professional teacher's license, and I'm an accountant and fraud auditor. So I know I've been scammed. So the thing is this, need Palm Beach County commissioners to make sure my voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, but I will tell you that as far as property deed fraud goes on, our clerk of the courts, Mike Caruso, has been working very diligently on that, so you might reach out to their office.
In fact, the case is I did, in fact, contact them as soon as I found out my property title was changed. They told me to go to the attorney.
We got Linda
Thank you so
Smith,
much.
William Dirks, Natalie Frazier.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Bill Dirks. I'm a resident farmer from Western Loxahatchee. I represent landowners from Santa Rosa Groves and Sunny Urban Meadows. I have 58 petition signatures requesting that about $400,000 be applied to the 27 budget to apply millings on 60th Street North that runs to our communities. After it is graded, it quickly turns into ruts, and when there's wind and even dryness, it turns into ruts. and and washboard, and residents complain about it all the time. In fact,
Mr. Dirks, I will give you more time because I'm interrupting you if necessary, but we are actually already working on this if you want to talk to the engineering staff in the back of the room, or we can have them come up here and give an update.
yeah, I'll do that. And I just wanted to thank you for all your past help in getting the culvert replaced. And you were very gracious about that. And so I know that GL cares about our community. And they have no objections to this, so I'm really hoping that you can find some relief for our community.
Thank you. David, did you want to tell everyone what we're working on?
So, Mayor, you brought this to our attention. We've been working with the community out there. So we engaged with FDOT because actually after the visit, they went out to the Glades. They got some actually roadway experts that was on the trip, and so we're going to have a meeting with them next week to talk about this special situation and see what kind of alternatives they can provide to us in addition to millings to get some long-lasting repair to that.
So more suitable surface for the area that won't just break down as soon as they regrade it.
Right, so we're actively working on that.
Appreciate that, and if you have any more questions, Mr. Dirk, please ask Mr. Ricks. Thank you so much. Please proceed.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Madam Mayor and Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Again, my name is Natalie Frazier, and I'm a resident of Palm Beach County in the Arden community, and I'm here to speak about Project Tango. This project is being proposed extremely close to our homes and our schools, and as a parent, I am deeply concerned with unanswered questions around noise, safety, fire risk, infrastructure, long-term impact. And many of those questions are unanswered since our February town hall. And this does not feel like something that's ready to move forward. This isn't just a project on paper. This is where we live. This is where our children go to school. This is what we're asking is you protect our community. Palm Beach County families will remember this decision, and we are trusting that you stand with us. With so many unanswered questions still remaining, I respectfully ask that you vote no on Project Tango. Thank you for your attention on this extremely important matter.
Thank you. Any more cards?
We have Linda Smith. We have Janice Rittenauer, Joseph Higgins, Alexandria, Commissioner Larson.
Please proceed, Ms. Smith.
I want a name. Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida, Sierra Club. I'm asking again to have the updated zoning codes to define data centers and mega data centers as two different things. I would like to distribute 9 copies of a draft moratorium resolution to impose a 12-month moratorium on the acceptance, processing, and approval of applications of large-scale data centers and related infrastructure. Heavy industrial refers to land use classifications that permits large-scale, high-impact manufacturing, processing, or energy-related operations that generate significant noise, emissions, vibration, or hazardous materials, requiring substantial infrastructure and separation from residential areas. I want to thank you for reinstalling EV charging stations in your parking garage. I can't wait until they finish and I can get in there. With fuel prices and climate issues, we need to increase our local energy generation with renewables and implement battery storage. I also want to thank you for airing TV commercials on recycling. I saw that the other night. This is primarily targeting single-family residences, approximately 45% detached single-family residents. I continue to encourage you to extend to the other 55% of the residents in multifamily and condominiums, and also to get commercial establishments to recycle.
Thank you, Ms.
for
Smith.
your time.
Please state your name for the record.
Janice Ridenour, 1102 Arrowhead Point Road, Loxahatchee. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrators, and Council. There is already a documented surplus of industrial warehouse space in Palm Beach County. I recently read an April 10th Sun Sentinel article confirming this, noting that the commerce designation adopted in 2022 was intended for light industrial uses, operations not expected to create significant impacts on nearby communities. However, what we are seeing today raises serious concerns. We are already seeing a troubling example in Westview, Miami, a 150,000 square foot warehouse quietly converted into a 16 megawatt data center on 3.4 acres, classified as heavy industrial use. Residents were not made aware of it until it was complete. I'd like to remind you that Project Tango is slated to be 600 megawatts. So I ask what guardrails are in place here in Palm Beach County to prevent the same thing from happening. Because as we've learned, these conversions don't always require a brand new approval process. They can happen through zoning variances, reinterpretations, or incremental approvals. And once you approve a project like Project Tango, with the understanding that warehouses may later become data centers, you are not just approving one project, you are establishing a precedent. A precedent that can be used to justify similar conversions across this county, often with far less scrutiny. I have more, but thank you.
I have a question for you. Do you know that they already have approvals and could start building tomorrow? So what is it that you're asking?
That it not be expanded.
That it not be expanded anymore?
That the expansion be voted no for now. That's what I was going to say. We need to be more responsible with this development. So we're not saying don't build it at all, don't expand it. And until we know, because there are a lot of questions that are unanswered. So that's what I'm asking.
Thank you so much. Please proceed. State your name for the record.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the time. Appreciate being here. I'm going to talk about Project Tango too, but for the record, I'm not opposed to hyperscale AI data centers. I think they're great. I think it's a great idea. I think they're integral to our national economic competitiveness and growth.
Just please state your name for the record.
My name's Joseph Thomas Higgins.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I live in Loxahatchee. Okay. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with AI data centers, okay? And I support them. But the Project Tango high-speed internet data center is a great idea in the absolute wrong place, okay? And permission to let that project continue at its location, I think is totally irresponsible on the part of the commission, okay? You know, we think we know the environmental effects and impacts on humans of these data centers, but I don't think we do. And, you know, every week goes by, another study comes out and says, well, you know, long-term this can happen or that can happen. We really don't know. And the people that are the most vulnerable to these things are the children. And this data center is going to be 1,200 feet from an elementary school. That's crazy, okay? I just don't see it, okay? And I please ask you, I implore you, vote no for this project when it comes up in July. And do it for the children if you do it for anybody, okay? And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Is that it, Commissioner Flores?
We got Alexander.
Alex Larson again. I don't think anybody's thinking correctly in this county, especially our elected officials, because we've got an incinerator coming, a bigger, bolder, icky thing. The AI Project Tango, I mean, they're going to need a lot of water and a lot of assets that we need. The same amount, they said, you know, it'll use the same amount of water as 500,000 units of development. Well, there's only 628,000 units of development in Palm Beach County. So who's going to be fighting for the lights and the water and everything else? This is not something that belongs in our area, ever. It doesn't, I don't care how big or little or small, whatever it is, it needs water and it needs power. So why would your constituents have to fight for power? Because it needs almost all the power you already have in Palm Beach County. I went and asked the guys how much. They gave me numbers. Sadly, it sticks in my head. I have nightmares about it because I don't think we should be fighting for water. I don't think our kids should be fighting for water or lights or anything else. And we are not doing well, commissioners. Your constituents are not doing well when it comes to gas and when it comes to food and keeping everything going in their tables in their homes. It is not going well. I don't care how many people say what great things everybody's doing. They aren't, because, you know, if everything was so wonderful, we wouldn't be paying $5 a gallon for gas. So please keep that in mind, because we don't get a stipend. We have to come up ourselves.
We have Sharon Waite, Maria Blake, Rachel Smith, and Drew Martin.
I'll be quick.
Oh, I'm not worried. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you see me? I feel like I need a step stool here. Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Baxter and Commissioners. My name is Maria Blake. I live within a mile from proposed hyperscale data center. I'm here today just to share my concerns from my family and for our neighbors. We moved to Arden 5 years ago with our 4-year-old daughter, thinking this is a safe community to raise our child. Today, we are deeply concerned about what is being proposed so close to our homes and our school. Specifically, we're alarmed about the plan to build a hyperscale data center within 1,000 feet of Saddleview Elementary School, where approximately 630 children attend, not including teachers and staff. That proximity alone should give all of us pause. The application was submitted by the developer in 2016. Why wasn't it built then? Why is it taking 10 years for them to figure out what they're trying to build, where now I feel like it's a little bit shady of them not disclose who is behind the NDA and trying to pass it as a hyperscale data. Like many residents, I have taken the time to research data centers, and from what I understand, large technology corporations build these facilities to collect, process, and store massive amounts of our data for their profit. The corporations benefit financially. May I please have another 30 seconds?
You may.
Thank you so much. While the community bears the impact, increased electricity demand, potential strain on water resources, noise, environmental stress, and rising utility costs, there is absolutely no meaningful benefit to our community from placing a data center here. It does not improve our schools, it creates very minimal jobs, and it does not enhance the quality of life for the families who live here. The profits go elsewhere, the impacts stay with us. Do you think it's fair? Our community is not asking for this project that we would have zero benefit from it. We have built and sustained our part of a county without a hyperscale data center. Mayor and commissioners, you were elected to represent the people who live here. I respectfully ask that you prioritize the health, safety, and well-being of the families who choose the community as their home.
Thank you so much. Please go ahead and state your name for the record.
Rachel Smith. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I just want to say I do think it's a little disrespectful that we don't get 3 minutes to talk. We've all taken time out of our really busy lives to come down here. I wrote a speech that is within the 3-minute mark because I didn't want to upset Vice Mayor, but I'll go ahead and read half of it, I guess. I would like 30 seconds if I could get that, please, because Masha got it. Okay, let's talk about the facts. There are no provable facts or studies that I've seen about Project Tango. Like Masha's point, Ernie Cox's study has been working on this for 10 years, and we have no studies, which I think is ridiculous. I don't trust most people, and I definitely don't trust greedy developers to have my best interests in mind. I don't care if the developers say 5,000 gallons a day. I don't care if the developers swear up and down that this won't affect our power bills. It's all hearsay until they can prove it. We all know developers care about one thing, and it's fiduciary responsibility. They're going to do anything that they can to make the money for the end user, and that includes lying to people and commissioners. You guys have been around long enough to deeply understand this concept. There are thousands of examples all over the country of developers being like, oh, this is totally safe, and then people's livelihoods getting ruined, and water sources getting polluted and detrimental effects taking place. We've all seen it. Is that what you want for Palm Beach County? Are you guys willing to take the developers at their word and risk ruining the lives of tax-paying residents? Are you willing to risk our fragile environment by taking the developers at their word and saying, trust us? I want to remind everyone that Tony Mazzalotti went to prison over deals that happened on this exact property. It's a great example of the kind of shady business dealings of the owners of Palm Beach Aggregates and what they've been doing. I'm so tired of billionaires getting to make decisions for people in Palm Beach County. You guys are supposed to protect us, and instead, these things are happening. You're also, some of you guys are taking $25,000 football tickets to schmooze with a billionaire who's literally trying to buy
Ma'am,
Palm Beach.
I gave you the courtesy of extra time. Please
You're
wrap
allowing
it
it,
up.
and you guys should all be ashamed that this is even a thought that it's being
Thank you
built
so
next to
much.
a residential neighborhood and elementary school. Thank you.
Sharon, wait again. Just two little issues. We were talking about the traffic cameras earlier, and it reminded me that in my travels, as I come and go from here or my little neighborhoods and things, I noticed that there's a camera there that hasn't been, there's no notice that it's there. It's hidden in a tree on a post. And I thought, how are we supposed to, how can that be legal that there's a camera watching us drive when there is no notice that it's there? And I don't usually take notice of much except for the traffic as I'm moving. The other thing is, the other week when the boat show was in town, you know what a nightmare that was outside, the traffic and whatnot. Who owns the parking garage across the street to charge $60 each car to park? Who authorized that? That's highway robbery, and that's what they were charging. The officer directing traffic told me how much, and I said, hell no, and I about ran over his toes. He said, don't block. I wasn't planning on it. The 4th Street parking lot, there was a woman standing there, with a big sign, full. When I went around the block, there were spots on the other side where there were spots. Anyway, $60 to park. I'd like to hang the person that decided that was kosher.
Thank you for your comments. Please, just to be clear, that is West Palm Beach, not anywhere else, Palm Beach County. Please state your name for the record.
Drew Martin, I'm here on behalf of the Loxahatchee Group of the Sierra Club. I'm disappointed we don't get 3 minutes. We only got once a month to speak on matters by the public, and I think it would have been fair to give us the 3 minutes. I don't think there were that many speakers that would have held you up that long. I'm disappointed that I see commissioners drinking out of these little plastic water bottles. I assume my tax dollars are paying. Oh, good. Well, thank you. Aluminum. I do approve of that, Commissioner. And I definitely approve of Commissioner Woodward's washable, reusable cup. Excellent. I know she really is a woman of her word, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that 3 commissioners voted no today. It's not a Sierra Club issue, obviously, but presidents have been maligned throughout history, starting with George Washington. So while I don't agree with the maligning presidents, I do think the current president has maligned other presidents. So, I think the shoe fits in that case. I do want to say on Project Tango that I think the legislature has given you an out. They said you have the right to evaluate the repercussions of that. And I think you could vote to not approve Project Tango if you so decide. My last word is please don't go forward with the incinerator. And thank you for my 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Commissioner Flores, is that all the cards? Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Right. Another one bites the dust.